Delegates, right after this technical session, we have the parallel session that is arranged for you. We have another hall that is right opposite to this. We'll have two sessions running simultaneously. Request both of you to give your gracious presence in both of the events. And now, request all the ladies and gentlemen, all the individuals out there to please enter the hall and grab your seats.
One, two, two. Hello.
Hello, check. Check. Tie.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now shift gears to a visionary journey, India towards 2047. A journey of possibilities, policies, challenges, and ambitions. With us is the articulate Chairperson CA Venkatesh and the exceptional thinker, speaker for the technical session 2, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, whose words are known to spark ideas and ignite minds.
I request CA Sarvesh Maya to please escort CA Mr. Venkatesh onto the dais and present him with the memento.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a huge round of applause. Dr. M.R. Venkatesh. He is one of the India's leading advocate on economic criminal law. He has handled several legal matters and appeared in various forums in matters relating to PMLA, FEMA, income tax, Benami laws, Black Money Act, customs, WTO related issues, GST, IPC, and company law. He has been one of the Dr. M.R. Venkatesh, he has been one of the forerunners in India in the field of fighting black money, and his book titled Sensex and Sentiments has been acknowledged by experts as one of the pioneering works in the field of anti-money laundering. He was elected as the national president of AIFTP in the 23rd Virtual National Convention of AIFTP for the year 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a huge round of applause. Our speaker for the technical session 2, Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Anand Ranganathan obtained his BSc Honours degree in chemistry from St. Stephen's College, Delhi. After a post-doctoral stint at Cambridge, Anand returned to India to join International Centre for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, Delhi, where he ran his lab for 16 years as a staff research scientist. He became a full-time professor in 2019. Anand Ranganathan writes and appears frequently on television debates, politics, media, and science. He has authored 5 books: The Land of the Wilted Rose, For Love and Honor, The Rat Eater, Sophil, Penguin 2023, and the Hindustan Hindu Rashtra, and his forthcoming book is India's Forgotten Scientist. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for our speaker, Dr. Anand Ranganathan. With this, I request our chairperson, Dr. M.R. Venkatesh, to please give his opening remarks.
Honorable Justice Anita Sumanchi, the 32nd Rakshasa, Anand Ranganathan. I call him a 30-second Rakshasa because in 30 seconds he is known to demolish opponents. And whenever he puts his hand and says, I want 30 seconds, it's finito. My dear professional colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very interesting and a challenging topic that the organizers have given me. And when Venkatramani called me, I readily accepted without realizing that Anand will be the speaker and I will be the chairman. That means at the age of 57, Anand reads my age as 75. He suffers from dyslexia, poor guy. And he has elevated me to Marga Darshan Mandali. So from now on, it is very difficult to be a speaker and it has to be only a chairman. 13th December, it's a very interesting day. It's, I may sound like Dan Brown, but I tried to figure out what happened on 13th December 1946. Pandit Nehru, in the Constituent Assembly, for the first time gives the aims and objectives of the newly to be drafted Constitution. 13th December 1946, exactly 79 years ago at this time, Nehru was pushing in for a new Constitution with a broad outline. The 8th one of the 8 pillars that he enumerates, he says, this ancient land attains its rightful and honored place in the world and makes it full and willing contribution to the promotion of world peace and welfare for mankind. This was Panditji's 8th pillar. 7 pillars consisted of India being that we will be a sovereign country, we will be a newly formed state. Of course, in his hurry, he forgot democracy. till Ambedkar brings it in 1949 in the constitution. For the first time, democracy was brought in only in 1949, but that's understandable. You miss something, you don't miss, can't have everything in one document. But the most important thing I thought was that this ancient land attains its rightful and honored place. Perhaps 2047, Anand, when we will be looking back 100 years of independence, the question probably the next generation will ask of us, did we honor Panditji's vision? Did we really come about as a nation and deliver onto ourselves something that ancient India has already stood for? Of course, from 1950 we have done exceedingly well. Western democracies which champion so many rights today struggled for equality of women, struggled to give equality to colored people, especially blacks. But in one swift stroke of the pen, I think Article 14 was drafted, and in fact, Article 14, if you find any debates on Article 14 in the Constituent Assembly, it's almost non-existent. Because it was taken that everybody will be equal. But there are extraordinary things that has happened post the Constitution's inauguration. We have grown at around 5.5, and by some imagination 6%. Compounded growth for 75 years. China has done the easiest things first. It has grown and it has to have the painful journey to democracy. It's still awaiting. We did the toughest thing first. We became a democracy, a very cacophonous democracy, and we are awaiting growth. And in true measure. But we can definitely take a pride onto ourselves that today when we visit any distant village, we have virtually eradicated abject poverty. Whatever be our shortcomings, whatever be the political affiliations that we may belong, may not belong, we have to give credit to the entire political class as a whole, that today you don't enter a village and see people unclothed. In fact, you see people using slippers, TVs, cell phones. You see that abject poverty is no longer a face of India. It's virtually gone. Probably 30 years back when I used to do studies on budgets, one important thing that I used to lament was that the British Famine Commission in 1870, when they took over the administration of large parts of India, they said India required 500 grams per capita per day of food grains. That was the poverty level. And at 450 or thereabouts, we declared food self-sufficiency somewhere in the early 70s, which was much, much lower than the Poverty Commission report of 1870 by an alien ruler. Today, I think we have crossed 500. We have, on Human Development Index, we are doing spectacularly well on quite a few issues. On our higher education, he is one example. Sir, amongst advocates, it's very difficult to speak about higher education. So you must pardon me, but you are an example by yourself. On space, on critical technologies, we have done spectacularly well. No doubt about it. But there are gaping holes in our success stories. It's like a rava dosa. It's perforated in between. Our success is not uniform. Our success is not full. And there is something that is lacking in us. the first thing that I see, that structurally we have become more state dependent than we were in any recorded period of history. We are never a socialist society. We were an entrepreneurial society. The highest per capita entrepreneur even today, as per several world documented reports, is in India. Don't think that the big corporates only are the entrepreneurs. Any lady who sells the flower by the hand measure is also an entrepreneur. And that amount of entrepreneurship is not translating into a larger GDP. And we feel that at every level that the state is not for the entrepreneurs, it's against the entrepreneurs. In some of the casual meetings with any top politician, I always say, send the Commerce Ministry to run one chai dukan for a day. Just send him for a Finance Secretary to run a small dhaba for a day. He will understand India's problems. I even once tweeted, let the Revenue Secretary fill the Form 6 of income tax. It is so cumbersome. And without a chartered accountant's help, we cannot pay a tax. So and Anand was lamenting about how the transition was to act from the 1961 Act to the 2025 Act. And her ladyship observed, for next 20 years, there are going to be legacy of this act. So probably for my son, or probably my grandson, he will see 2025 Act in full action. Not my son, at least. Probably my grandson. Why do we complicate ourselves? Why do we make a mesh out of creating new laws? Whenever government says we are reforming, I shudder. Because it's more forms, more rules, more regulations. And not only that, it has become a very perverted society that believes. Can this be switched off? It's too noisy. That believes in entitlement. A large section of the society believes in entitlement. You don't blame politicians alone for freebies. You have to blame ourselves. All of us would have studied the ant and the grasshopper story in our younger days. The ant stores food in the summer. The grasshopper goes on dancing. And winter comes, grasshopper has nothing to feed, it dies. And the ant, out of the saved food, is able to sustain the winter. Aesop's parables. But today, if that were to happen, ant comfortably placed, grasshopper shivering, nation wants to know why. And this man will come for 30 seconds and bat for the ants. But he will be in a minority. Because today everybody wants freebies. So what do? You tax the ants. And I don't mean tax in the taxation, in the conference of tax lawyers and chartered accountants, I don't mean tax in the taxation sense. You tax the ants. And you are not able to feed the grasshopper. Then you borrow from the ants also. And the interest levy is on the ants. If today a cow in my house doesn't get pregnant, Pradhan Mantri Gai Pregnancy Yojana, Chief Minister intervenes decisively to see that your cow is pregnant. Now, Joint Secretary, Animal Husbandry Secretary, certain things state should feel that it has no business to be in. We have created an omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient state, which was never in the conceptual framework of the founding fathers. They always thought about a residuary state. At least till 1946, when Gandhi was relevant to the political class, the promise was Ram Rajya. And Ram Rajya was Rajya without Ram, wherein things will flow by itself. That we have now turned it upside down. And that is the difference between a Western society and the Indian thinking, the Indic thinking. James Boyce, one of the finest authors I come across, in his book Born Bad, makes a very interesting comment that, look, the West always believes, especially Christendom nations, that everybody is born sinner unless redeemed by an external force for salvation, which will be Lord Jesus. This is their belief, this is their thinking. But that thinking has pervaded into, according to Boyce, Thomas Hobbes, who wrote the theory of the state, Richard Dawkins, evolutionary biologist, Marx, Adam Smith, all of them thought about an external agent for delivery. Our classical thinking is that we always look at self for delivery. For us, moksha is a personalized affair. Salvation is only through an external agent. And it is with this thinking, idea of socialism was born. And we have, in a way, converted ourselves into Western societies. And take any Western nation, which is a Christian nation, which will be a socialist nation. And I am not saying that the state must completely go off. It has to. It has to in areas like education, in primary education, health. Some of the places it has to be there. But I don't understand why it is in some places and it should not be in certain places. That brings me to the most crucial one. 2047. Will we be a nation? Will we be having the gumption to rewire our society, to get rid of the scourge of socialism? Will we make the state a residual one, but a more potent one? Will we be the champions of inventions and innovations? I would like 2047, August 15th, whosoever will be the Prime Minister should deliver the speech not from the ramparts of the Red Fort, but from a tour to space. He must take off at around 10:30 in the evening, go up to space, deliver the lecture, come back. That will be the type of vision I would like to see. I would like to see the English Prime Minister coming here for a heart surgery on 15th August 2047 because the health has failed in England. I would like to see India hosting Olympics without a scam. I would like to see children not taking to IAS but to become scientists like Anand. Not that IAS is something bad, but it commands the premium dowry in the dowry market. This is the truth of the matter. And I would like to see India go back to our traditions of placing democracy rather than priming a state. We have primed a state for too long. And I think Anand will probably, coming from Delhi, will bear me out. Already the discussions in the Foreign Affairs Ministry would be, External Affairs Ministry will be, who should be the chief guest for 26th January. We begin from, the tick boxes from, beginning from the President of America till the King of Bhutan. We have the whole list waiting. And we will have to see who should be the chief guest. Why should we prime Republic Day rather than the Independence Day? Why should it be that where democracy grew at the grassroots levels? Read the Uttaramerur scripts. Uttaramerur tells you where democracy was born. It is thought that it was born in Greece and Athens and where not. 60 kilometers as a crow flies from Chennai. Uttaramerur gives you an example how a functional democracy was happening some 1,500 years ago. She has to have a Jonas face, one that looks forward and assimilates science, technology, and everything that is modern. But she also has to look back to her old grand traditions, to her grand old ways of how she enthralled the world. Paul Kennedy writes a book, Rise and Fall of Great Powers, and he notes that till 17th century or even till 18th century, India's GDP was around 25% of global GDP. Then Paul Byrak, then Angus Madison, all these people have gone into various economic histories, and they come out with a unitary fact that India's economy was having a share of around 25 to 30% of global GDP between the period the Christ was born till the 18th century. So it is not that we were leaders in philosophy, we were leaders in economics too. And we were not leaders in economics, we were leaders in several other aspects. But today, somewhere down the line, we have not found the purpose why this great nation should be awakened, as Nehru says in his Tryst with Destiny speech on August 15th, 1947. And a nation which is without a purpose will meander into nothingness. We need to find that purpose. Over to Ranganathan for the purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to call upon the 32nd champion, a distinguished speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dr. Anand Ranganathan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me at this incredible event. It's not just a pleasure, it's also an honor. And the fact of the matter is that while my very dear friend and brother MR has given such a wonderful introduction to the theme that both of us are going to be talking about, and then after I'm finished, we'll have a nice interactive session with all of you. And he's quite right when he talks about 2047 and when he says that we don't know who the Prime Minister is going to be. He's right, but we do know who the Leader of Opposition is going to be in 2047. when, when, the, uh, when the invitation to me was proposed by the organizers, and I said, well, thank you very much, but I hope you know that there is a problem. And, you know, the question was, what can be the problem? And I said, I'm always only invited once to any place. And, you know, Shanti said, what do you mean? I gave him a couple of examples. I said, about 1.5 years ago, there was a debate held in Kolkata, and the topic was media as a watchdog, and my turn came, and I said, media as a watchdog? What are you guys talking about? Media as a lapdog. You guys write whatever you're asked to write by your political masters, your chief ministers, ministers. They give you money, they sponsor you, they tell you what to write, they pay you what not to write, and you peddle fake agenda, fake narratives all year long, and when you found out, then you apologize on page 17, you know, small paragraph. You're not watchdogs, you're lapdogs. And the worst offender is the Telegraph newspaper of Kolkata, because whatever Didi tells you to write, you write it. You're at the beck and call of your political masters. I didn't know the debate was sponsored by Telegraph. I ran from there to the airport, and since it was Didi territory, they were telling me, sir, 15 minutes away, sir, your flight is 10 minutes away, sir. And then about a year ago, there was an event in a university in Delhi, and the theme was politics and beyond. And my turn came, and I said, look, aren't we all tired bashing the living daylights out of politicians day and night? And especially me, I do it every night. So can we concentrate rather on the other arm of, can you hear me? Oh, is there a problem? Is that better? Can you hear me? No, you can't hear me. Shall I take a hand mic? I think it's better, yes, sure. I thought because I shout and scream on the television every night, I would be audible. Can you hear me now? Earlier was better? Is that better? All right, thank you. And then I said, look, all we do every day is, berate and mock and outrage against the politicians. I think the time has come for this country to talk about another fledgling arm of our democracy that we, out of fear or retribution or whatever the case may be, we don't talk about, and that is the judiciary. I apologize in advance, Mr. Issa. But I'm resolute in the way that if a contempt case is thrown at me, there are enough advocates out here who would defend me pro bono. So I said, look, because the truth be told, the real arm that is falling apart is the judiciary. And the fact of the matter is that we are doing nothing about it, least of all the judges. There are 53 million cases that are pending in India right now. That's more than the population of South Korea and Kenya. And at the rate at which our judiciary is disposing of these cases, it will take us 323 years to clear the backlog. I don't know how many of us would be alive by then. There is corruption that is rampant. As many as 9 Supreme Court judges have given in a sealed envelope cases of corruption to the higher judiciary. There is collegium system. The judges don't want to elect themselves democratically while they advocate that everyone else should elect themselves democratically. There is nepotism. Only 250 families have contributed judges to the Supreme Court till now. There are high courts in India where 34% of the judges working there are related to everyone else who's working there. 32% of all high court judges' positions are lying vacant. This, when you have a 53 million case backlog, this, when you have only 20 judges to a million Indian population. In America, it's 150 judges to a million Indian population. 232 100,000 rape and POXO cases are pending. 115,000 cases that are pending are as old as 35 years old. 22% of all judicial positions in India are lying vacant. This when you have so much of backlog of pending cases. 74% of all Indian prisoners are under trial. They've been denied bail, they're languishing, rotting in prison. So I said, if at all there is an aspect of our democracy that needs to be investigated, talked about, it is the judiciary. And I went back to the dais, and the person sitting next to me was the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court. I forgot that I had driven to that place. I forgot my car, then I ran with Uber. So that's why I told Prashantji, look, if you're inviting me once, please be aware that I'm never invited. He said, no, don't worry, come. So ladies and gentlemen, here I am, determined never to be invited again, but wanting to talk about an issue that I believe is very dear to not just my heart, but all our hearts. Because as MR also mentioned, and as is the golden proverb that is on everyone's lips for the last so many years, it is that 2047 would see India as Viksit Bharat. Of course, all of us want to see it. But the fact of the matter is, will we see it? Now, this is what I want to discuss for the next hour or so, or 45 minutes. Because unless we realize what are the fundamentals of success, what makes a nation, a company, an organization, a people successful, what are the fundamentals? Unless we realize that, I'm afraid Viksit Bharat will remain a distant dream. Because as the adage goes, success hides failures. And if you're a politician, you are never going to count your failures. We have so many examples. You always count your successes. So whether a glass is half full or a glass is half empty depends upon not just your objective observation, but you're trying to determine what is the fundamental that makes us as a country successful. And to be honest, there are parameters by which you can judge the success of a country, of an organization, of a people. Of course there are. And if we were to look at our journey over the past 75 years, have we been successful to begin with? Relative or stunning or spectacular, whatever the case may be. And there are parameters. For example, let me give you a few. In 1947, when we got independence, our life expectancy was 32 years. 32 years. Today it is upwards of 76 years. So yes, we've seen relative success. In 1947, our literacy rate was 12%. Today it is upwards of 82%. In 1947, our poverty rate was 71%. Today it is 4.5%. And the most troubling, in 1947, our IMR or infant mortality rate was 160. That meant that out of every 1,000 babies born, 160 did not live to see 1 year. Today it is 24, and in some states like Kerala, it has even bettered Eastern European countries, it is 6 or 7. So yes, the last 75 years, if you look at the chart, our growth chart, we've tasted relative success. And if you were to scrunch the timeline further, not just 75 years, but look at, for example, in the last 10 years, I would say we've been stunningly successful. Let me give you a few parameters. The population of our country that is multidimensionally poor, that's the new metric that people use now to define what poverty is. It takes care of health, wealth, prosperity, HDI indices, finance, economics, etc. Multidimensional poverty. 29% of Indian population was multidimensionally poor in 2014. Today it is 11%. In the last 10 years, we have literally pulled 250 million Indians out of multidimensional abject poverty. I would say that is being stunningly successful. In 2014, our GDP per capita was $1,500 US. Today it is approaching $3,000 US. It's $2,920 US. So nearly doubled. I would say that is stunningly successful. In 2014, 10 years ago, our foreign exchange reserves were $300 billion. Today it is $705 billion. 10 years ago, we had 5 cities that had metros. Today we have 20. 10 years ago, we had 74 airports. Today we have 149 airports. 10 years ago, 21,000 kilometers of our railway lines were electrified. Today it's 69,000 kilometers of railway lines electrified. And the length of highways that we built in the last 10 years It's half the length we had built in 60 years prior to the last 10 years. That is spectacular. That's why I call Nitin Gadkari ji not as human but alien. He is alien in one other aspect because I was listening to his podcast and he said he was going in for bariatric surgery and he had 5-plate chola bhaturas before he went for the surgery. Only an alien would dream of doing that. If you look at assets under management, AUMs, we had 8.5 lakh crores AUMs in 2014. Today it has touched 80 billion, 10 times more. So the wealth creators amongst you need to be congratulated. Our solar capacity, installation capacity was 2 gigawatts 10 years ago. Today it has crossed 100 gigawatts. And the most encouraging, in 2014 we had 350 startups. Today we have 124,000 startups. So yes, not just relative success, we've seen stunning success. And if you were to scrunch the timeline even further, not 75 years, not 10 years, but the last 1 year, then I would say, giving you the parameters, we've seen spectacular success. Let me give you a few parameters. By what I mean by spectacular success, our GST collection has been the highest ever since records began, $270 billion. Number of vehicle sales in the last year has been the highest ever, 25 million. Our exports have been the highest ever since records began, $825 billion. Number of jobs created have been the highest ever, 46 million, according to the claims report. Number of income tax payers have been the highest ever, 104 million. PMI manufacturing has been the highest ever, 59.2. And if you talk of the things that should be low, we have our central government debt to GDP ratio at a 5-year low of 52%. We have our inflation as the lowest ever, 0.3%. When you talk of Mehengai being an election issue, here we have a problem where people are saying our inflation should not be so low. In fact, it is coming to be a problem. So many other parameters that make us a spectacular success in the last 1 year, and the most heartening, that our Sensex has been the highest ever since records began in the last 1 year, 86,000. So not just relative success, not just stunning success, we've seen spectacular success, and many of you will be thinking, what's this guy then talking about? Glass half full, glass half empty fundamentals. Yes, we are going to reach Viksit Bharat even sooner than 2047. Look at the data is given. And I say, yes, that data is true. And all that is true. But then why is it that till today, 150 million Indian children are out of school? Why is it that till today, more than 100 million Indians survive on 60 rupees a day? Why is it that till today, 34% of all Indian infants under 5 are chronically stunted and malnourished? Why is it that till today, 20% of all poor Indian children have never been vaccinated? Why is it that till today, 8 million Indian children are involved in child labor? Why is it that till today, 18 million Indians are in bonded labor? Why is it that till today, 50% of India is without internet connectivity? Why is it that till today, only 2% of Indians pay tax? In the UK, it is 66%. Why is it that till today, India ranks 111th in the World Hunger Index? And why is it that till today, our GDP per capita is ranked 136th, below even Sri Lanka, and until a few years ago, below even Bangladesh? So clearly, there are issues that make us spectacularly successful. But then India is now a coin with two sides. And unless we address the fundamentals of what is making us successful, we are never going to realize the areas where we have been abject failures and we need to improve. Because that improvement is what will catapult us to the Viksit Bharat status. And I put it to you, that is the case because we are happy projecting an image of going somewhere, huffing and puffing. But unfortunately, we are huffing and puffing on a treadmill. And this is the problem with the treadmill. If you hide the below portion, it gives you the impression that you are jogging, you're huffing and puffing, that ultimately your displacement is zero. What I want is for us as a country, as a people, to hop on from the treadmill to the travelator. The image, of course, has to be that from the treadmill to the travelator to the elevator, but first let's hop on to the travelator at least. And India is definitely at an inflection point. We can sense it, we can feel it, but the problem is we've been at many inflection points before. And I don't want history to repeat itself, that we are about to take off, we are taxiing on the runway, and the pilot suddenly says that, ladies and gentlemen, I have detected a snag, and parks the plane by the hangar. Not an Indigo pilot, by the way, any pilot. I don't want us to do that. And in order for us not to do that, I return again to us determining the fundamentals of success, and I put it to you. The reason why we are where we are is because we as a state, we as a people, are confused about what our role should be. And let me exemplify that by giving you or asking for a show of hands. And then you will realize that why we as a state is confused what the state's role should be, and we as a people are confused what our role should be. If I were to ask you, name me one, just one government or state policy in the last 75 years since we attained independence, just one policy that has helped grow our economy the most, what would you say? Anyone, please show of hands. Yes, anyone. Please, feel free. Just shout out. Economic liberalization, that's the obvious and the correct answer every time. Had we not liberalized our economy in 1990, we wouldn't be here the way we are here today. In fact, when I talk about our foreign exchange reserves right now, $705 billion, in 1990 they had dwindled down to $3 billion. We had mortgaged 67 tons of our gold. We had loaded and armed to the ships. They were about to dock, and then things changed. So yes, economic liberalization is just one government policy that has helped our economy grow the most. Anything else? GST, yes, absolutely. Space, yes. GST. Without GST, without the integration, we would not be trundling towards prosperity as we are. We have unified a lot of taxes. So yes, it has undoubtedly helped one policy. Anything else? Digital India is absolutely correct. India is a world leader now in digital economy, and we are moving ahead. We are the fastest growing digital economy in terms of transactions as well in the world. But did you notice something? All the answers that you gave are related to finance and economy, because I had asked the question, framing it thus, so that it affected the economy. And all of your answers were correct answers. But what if I were to tell you that the single greatest policy that has helped our economy grow the most since independence has got nothing to do with economy at all? It is the midday meal scheme. Every single day, 130 million Indian children go to school, every single day. And their parents send those children to school so that they may get wiser, good education, but more importantly, they may get healthier. They may get good nutrition, which today is mandated by our Supreme Court to be of minimum 430 kilocalories every single day. Just one policy. And the person who thought of it, K. Kamraj, never even went to school. So the next time, ladies and gentlemen, you from this socio-economic strata that we belong to think, oh, we need a politician who's an undergraduate, a graduate, a doctor, engineer, a lawyer, an advocate, a management consultant. Think again. Here was a man who never even went to school and who developed a policy, implemented it, that has helped our economy grow the most. And this right here should be the role of the state. The role of the state is to create a healthier, wealthier, wiser, more adaptable, more flexible workforce. The role of the state is not to use that workforce. The role of the state is to create that workforce and give it to you to use it, the wealth creators. And I put it to you, the last 75 years, make or break, give or take a few decades or maybe half a decade, this state has been doing exactly the opposite. This state has been using the workforce, whatever pitiful workforce it has created. Let me break it down, as I did, into 4 compartments: healthier, wealthier, wiser, more adaptable, more flexible workforce. And the state's role is confused as to how to deal with this question. Let me deal with the 4th one first, to create a more adaptive, more flexible workforce. 44% of India's workforce of 600 million Indians, give or take a few. Some say it is 585 million Indians, some say 615. On average, 600 million Indians, 44% of this labor force is involved in agriculture, a sector that contributes only 13.5 to 14% to our GDP. From production to purchase, everything is archaic, medieval, and yet you have 270 to 300 million productive Indians involved in this sector. In the West, it is not more than 2% of the workforce. Even in middle-income economies or developing countries vying to become developed in the short term, it's not more than 3.5 to 4%. Here we have 44% of our workforce being so non-adaptive, inflexible, that they're involved in a sector that is contributing almost nothing to the GDP. Let me break it down further, because this question needs answering at a very detailed, nuanced level. Let me talk about what we produce and where we produce to exemplify what I mean. As far as where we produce, 70 million hectares of Indian agricultural land. That's almost 40% of all available Indian agricultural land. 70 million hectares has been damaged in the last 6 years severely because of drought and floods. This is what we are giving the farmer to produce what he wants to produce. Damaged agricultural land, 40%. 82% of all farmers and cropland are not insured. 40% of all Indian agriculture is directly dependent upon the elements, on the monsoon, on the rain, 40%. 110,000 farmers have committed suicide in the last 10 years. 110,000. Every suicide, every death is a tragedy. But I put it to you that if one suicide happens in the IT sector, especially in Karnataka, the news travels for a week. We discuss it ad nauseum, rightly so. What were the reasons why this happened? One suicide. Here, 110,000 farmers have committed suicide in that sector, and we don't even bat an eyelid. Let me come to what we produce. India is the world's second largest producer of sugarcane. We produce 500 billion kilograms of sugarcane every year. Now, sugarcane is a very water-intensive crop. It requires only 9% of arable land, but 72% of all irrigable water. In fact, the water that is required, you can say drinking water, that's required to grow 500 billion kilograms of sugarcane is 1 quadrillion liters. I didn't even know what quadrillion means. I thought things finished after a trillion. So I put it in perspective for you. That's the amount of water that is present in 10 Ganga Sagar dams. That is the amount of water that we are using to grow sugarcane. 500 billion kilograms. And sugar prices, they have halved in the last 6 years. And yet, we keep on encouraging our farmers to grow more and more and more of sugarcane, the crop that we don't need, that is water guzzling, that is drying up our land. We keep on encouraging as political parties, as politicians, we keep on putting it proudly in our manifestos that we've increased the MSP equivalent of sugarcane. Proudly. The water availability per capita has shrunk by 47% in the last 43 years, from 3,000 cubic meters to 1,450 cubic meters. This is in India, I'm telling you. In fact, the United Nations has designated a number 1,700 cubic meters as fit for civilized living. So we are officially uncivilized right now. 76% of all Indian river water during monsoon goes waste into the ocean. 3,200 billion cubic feet of Godavari water goes waste into the ocean. What is the water requirement for the entire state of Tamil Nadu? 1,800 billion cubic feet. How much goes waste? 3,200 billion cubic feet. One politician decided we can't go on like this. We cannot keep on producing more and more and procuring more and more of a crop that we don't need, that is destroying our environment, our land, our water resource. And that person, as it happens, is now once more the Chief Minister. I talk of Maharashtra Chief Minister Fadnavis. When he was the Chief Minister first time round, he said we can't go on like this. So he brought in an ingenious law that mandated anybody who wanted to grow sugarcane to take government permission before he did that. Now that's a masterstroke, because in our country we know, especially the CAs know, that if you don't want anything to be done, please put in this clause that you need a government permission. Within 3 months, he had to go back on that order. I won't name the politician who forced him to go back on his order. But we as a country have awarded him India's second highest honor. Because he ran an alcohol industry, and molasses, the byproduct of sugarcane, is a requirement for that. This is how the state is fulfilling its role. We aren't even thinking 5 years ahead, forget 40, 20, 30 years ahead. We should be linking rivers. In fact, over the last 35 years, cutting across party lines, affiliations, ideologies, 5 governments, 6 Supreme Court benches have mandated that we need to link 30 rivers in order to equify the water from the drought to the flood and vice versa. And it was only 1 year ago that the first river linking project was, foundation stones were laid by the Prime Minister Modi, Ken-Betwa link. What is the state doing? I'll tell you what the state is doing. The Narmada project dam is now up and running. It's a fantastic achievement. Every year, the Narmada project dam gives 33 million households tap water. It irrigates 2.5 million hectares of agricultural land across 5 states, and it lights up 1.5 million homes. It's a great achievement. There's just one thing, that the foundation stones for Narmada Dam was laid by Jawaharlal Nehru, and it was inaugurated by Narendra Modi. 50 years it has taken us. This is how the state is playing its role. This is where we are producing what we are producing. And as to what we are producing, 70 million tons of what we produce goes waste every year. 30% of all fruits and vegetables that India produces goes waste every year. 40 years ago, we were producing 80 million tons of food grains. Today, we produce 4 times as much, because the enticement is through MSP as well. 320 million tons of food grain is produced every year in India. What is our storage capacity? 145 million tons. Half of what we produce, we cannot even store. It's lying, rotting in the open. This is what we produce. India produces 4,500 kilograms of rice per hectare. That is one of the lowest you can produce per hectare. If you look at the rice producing nations, it is 50% more. When it comes to maize, we produce 25% of the optimal capacity. Our food refusal rate is one of the highest in the world. It is 7 times more than China's food export refusal rate. You know why? Because what we produce is laced with poison and pesticide. India is the world's 2nd largest consumer of chemical pesticide. Every year we consume 60,000 tons of pesticide. Every year 30,000 Indians die of pesticide poisoning. Foreign countries don't want to buy what we produce. Forget about foreign countries. Even states inside India don't want to buy what other states produce. Forget about states that have opposing governments ideologically. Even allied states politically don't want to buy. Recently, Karnataka refused rice from Punjab, even though both are political allies. They said, I'm sorry, your food is poisoned. There are cancer trains that run from Punjab 3 a day to Rajasthan. Our land is poisoned. Our land is destroyed. We don't have enough water. Our food is poisoned. Our air is poisoned. Is this what we are doing? Engaging 300 million Indian productive Indians into a sector? What is the role of the state? And one man decided, I'm going to change all this. And he heralded the greatest reforms independent India had seen. I talk of the 3 farm laws that were brought in by Narendra Modi. Reforms are important for this country in every sector. But a banking reform would directly affect 10 million, 20 million people. Here, farm laws affected 300 million people directly and 1 billion people indirectly. 82% of all Indian households are indirectly related, sustaining themselves on agriculture. And Modi must have thought when he brought these 3 farm reforms, they're the easiest reforms to bring, because he didn't promise them. The opposition promised them. These 3 farm reforms were not in BJP's manifesto. They were in the Congress manifesto, AAP manifesto, verbatim. But then the moment he brought them, all hell broke loose. The same people who had vouched for those reforms, promised them, took a U-turn, said they are black laws. The nation came to a standstill. The capital of the country was laid siege to. Highways were blocked, chakka jam, parliament was disrupted, people died. The nation suffered an economic loss of 3,500 crore every day for the entire year, until the darkest day in independent India history, when Modi actually took back these 3 farm laws. I think it was November 19th, 2021. Now, what were these 3 farm laws that were there verbatim in all the election manifestos of the opposition parties? And they would have catapulted us to a middle-income economy, transformed this sector, brought it to what world standards actually look like when it comes to agriculture. The first one was that you would give farmers a choice to be able to sell their produce not only in government marketplaces, APMCs, or private marketplaces. Is that not what is the bedrock for economic progress? To give choice to the producer. Sell it wherever you want to. How would you feel if the wealth creators amongst you came up with a brilliant product, but then the government came along and said, I'm sorry, you can't sell your product on Amazon, you have to sell it on a government website that works only 10 minutes in 24 hours. You would sue the pants of the government. But why didn't we allow the farmers to do so? Because we decided for them. Because we have exalted them, put them on this pedestal, listening to Manoj Kumar's songs of Mere Desh Ki Dharti, Sona Ugle, Dharti Ugle. We've given them a demigod status. They say we don't want this demigod status. We want the status that you guys have of businessmen and women. We want to be able to sell our produce wherever, whenever we want, to whosoever wants it. What was the second law? It was to do away with the emergency provisions of the Essential Commodities Act. Now, this is a case of a straight semantics related to bureaucratic speech, that one word, storage, is converted to hoarding. And overnight, the person who's been storing the agricultural produce is subjected to a non-bailable arrest warrant. And as a result, no businessman, no businesswoman worth his or her salt was prepared to make these state-of-the-art 24/7 godowns that could actually store the perishable agricultural produce. And you've seen, I've given you the data, 70 million tons of Indian produce goes waste. 30% of all fruits and vegetables that are perishable, of course, go waste every year. 150 million tons of what we produce, we cannot even store. And you've seen how day in, day out, you have farmers who are dumping their goods, thousands of tons, onto the streets. Worryingly, they've started dumping milk as well. All that would have gone. And what was the third reform? It was contract farming. Again, that is the bedrock of economic progress. Anybody should be able to approach you, the producer, to say, well, you have the wherewithal to produce it. Let me give you the money and ask you to produce what I want to buy. That is how businesses occur. And the irony is that this wasn't just a promise that the Congress made in its erstwhile ruled state of Punjab. It had implemented a Contract Farming Act. The act was up and running. The farmers were approached by the same quote-unquote corrupt people, Adani and Ambani. They were being paid thousands of crores to get what they wanted to be produced. But the moment Modi brought them, everything suddenly turned dark. All these laws became black laws. Is that how the state is supposed to act? But you know, on one sense, on one level, I don't blame Modi or the politicians. Because politicians are born hypocrites. Even, in fact, if you were to do a blood test of a politician, more than cholesterol, you will get hypocrisy. What saddened me most was that the one exalted arm of our democracy that I held more responsible than what politicians are, let us down. I talk of the judiciary. That is the day, the darkest day was not when Modi repealed the laws. Yes, it was. But an even darker day, if it could be, was when the Supreme Court asked, rhetorically, all we see around us are the 2.5, 3 million people who are against the farm laws. Where are the people who are for the farm laws? We don't see them. So in effect, the Supreme Court wanted 300 million farmers to drop whatever they were doing, jump off, hop off from their tractors or their plows, hop on to the next bullock cart, bus, train, come to Tilak Marg in Delhi, stand outside Supreme Court and say, my lord, we are for the farm laws. Is that how democracy works? No. That is how anarchy works. That is not how the state is supposed to project and fulfill its role. And a week after Supreme Court stayed the farm laws, 82% of farmers and farm lobbies told the committee that was constituted by the Supreme Court that they were for the farm laws. But by that time it was too late. We are back to square one. Let me give you another example how inflexible and non-adaptable we are with such a tremendous labor force. One city, Paris, just one city, attracts 25 million foreign tourists a year. One country, India, of 1400 million people, attracts 11.5 million tourists. Paris, 25 million, India, 11.5 million. Tourism as a sector contributes directly only 2.6% to our GDP. It should be 5 times that. Tourism directly employs as a sector only 30 million Indians. It should be 5 times that. We are a 8,000-year-old culture. We have hundreds of languages, dialects. We have vistas from oceans to beaches to deserts to snow-capped mountains to greenery to Sundarbans. We have 44 World Heritage Sites. Greece, that has half as many World Heritage Sites, attracts 3 times as many tourists as we do. UAE, a country of 9 million, has more hotel rooms than India does. China has 100 times more hotel rooms than we do. The Sun Temple at Machu Picchu, Peru, attracts 1.5 million tourists. The Sun Temple at Konark attracts 9,000. Bodh Gaya, that should be the Vatican of the East. That is where Lord Buddha attained enlightenment. That is the most sacrosanct place for 535 million Buddhists around the world. South Korea, Japan, China, they would be falling over each other to make Bodh Gaya the Vatican of the East, and yet the annual budget of the municipal corporation of Bodh Gaya is less than the production budget of the failed movie Adi Purush, 500 crores. Bodhi tree under which Lord Buddha sat and attained nirvana is visited by 0.25 million tourists. Buddhists around the world, 535 million. How many visited their most sacrosanct place? 0.25 million. This is what the role is, the state is. And it's not that the politicians did not think or the leaders didn't think something needs to be done. Because after all, there is a 60% gap between the demand and supply as far as labor for tourism sector is concerned. So the Prime Minister came up with the Skill India mission. The idea was, this was 2014-15, that by 2022, we would skill 400 million Indians, because at the heart of giving them employment in the tourism sector, you require to skill them. 2022 came and went. How many did we manage to skill? 14 million. Target 400 million, skilled 14 million. And it's not that people don't even realize that at the heart of skilling is apprenticeship. And believe it or not, India has had an apprenticeship act going back to Nehruvian days, 1962. Because we realize how important are apprenticeship. How many apprenticeship do we have? 0.5 million. What is our labor force? 600 million. Is this how we will attain Viksit Bharat? What is the state doing? I'll tell you what the state is doing. The state is running 495 hotels itself. Almost all of them are loss-making. And the only time they make some money is when they have to ferry political and politician parties from one state to the other so that they don't join another party. That is when you have the resorts that are occupied. It is the lowest hanging fruit, tourism. And yet we are watching it rot. And it's rotting in front of our eyes. We are not plucking it. Let me come to the other sector to tell you how confused the role of the state is. At the end of the day, when I talked about a healthier, wealthier, wiser, more adaptable workforce, at the core of prosperity is a wiser workforce, an educated workforce. How does India fare when it comes to education? We have a teacher shortfall of 1.1 million school teachers. 19% of all school teacher positions are lying vacant. 40% of all rural schools do not have a functional toilet. No wonder parents don't want to send their children off to school. 8% of all Indian schools are single teacher schools. 42% of all high school students cannot string a simple sentence in English. 48% of all Indian high school students cannot do a class 2 sum. There is a dropout rate of 22% when it comes to high school students. In some states, the pupil to teacher ratio is 60:1. This is the situation as far as education is concerned in the school. Does it improve when we go to universities? Because after all, these tens, hundreds of millions of school children have to progress to universities so that ultimately they'll get employment. We have a gross enrollment ratio of 25%. We have 1100 to 1150 universities. Not a single one of them occurs in the top 200 universities of any respectable metric in the world. 52% of all Indian graduates are unemployable. Let me repeat, not unemployed, but unemployable. They don't have the requisite skills to be employed. 83% of all engineering pass-outs do not get a job. 82% of all Indian engineers are unemployable. This is the situation as far as our education sector, creating a wiser workforce is concerned. I'm afraid we have to realize that we missed the bus as far as education is concerned. I am a child of the 70s and the 80s, and I know how impossible it was to get to talk to someone on a telephone. India at that point of time had only 1 million landlines, and we thought, how on earth will 700 million Indians ever get access to telephony? And you would wait for a year to get that Bakelite rotary phone. I don't know, youngsters amongst you won't even know what that instrument is. But then, just technology did not come. Leapfrogging technology came in the terms of mobile telephone, and right now there are more mobile phones than there are Indians. We should have realized that that opportunity as far as education is concerned came during COVID. I talk of e-learning. There is no way in hell we can cater to all our school and university population by making more schools, by making more universities and colleges. As it is, the government is shutting down 800 of them in the last 5 years because it says these universities are not universities. They're not fulfilling their job as universities. They're useless. E-learning was the way. And especially because half of our population is under 25, and 94% of them have access to smartphones. Here was a leapfrogging technology that would have made our entire system more wiser, labor force wiser. But we missed that bus as well. Let me come to the third aspect that I talked about, the role of the state, to create a wealthier workforce. And of course, if the workforce is wealthier, then it augurs that the entire chain of events will be much faster. You would attain prosperity much faster. Now, admittedly, one of the things that really endeared me to Prime Minister Modi was what he said in 2013. And I quote him verbatim. And he said, a government has no business to be in business. And I said, finally there is a leader who understands what the role of the government is. It is not to run businesses. And the Prime Minister repeated this, that a government has no business to be in business in 2013, in 2017, in 2019. But unfortunately, what all his government has done in the last 11 years is to be in the business of running businesses. India right now has 1,830 public sector units. 400 of them are non-functional. They are not producing what they are supposed to produce, and yet leeching billions of dollars of our money. Every year, 21% of our annual allocation budget, what Ms. Sitaraman will dish out in February, goes up in propping up these public sector units. That 9.5 lakh crores. Why is the government running organizations to make mixer grinders, to make scooters, to make televisions, to make calculators? What role is it of the state to run these business, to run hotels, to run public sector banks? In the last 10 years, the combined NPAs of PSU banks is 10.6 lakh crores. Admittedly, the government says, yes, situation is better because there's a sleight of hand. Instead of waiving off, they have written off the assets. But even there, even with the bankruptcy code, only 1.6 lakh crores has been recovered. 9 lakh crores, almost 90% is as good as gone. But why is the government running banks? Why is the government running MSNL, MTNL, telephony companies? When the private players have gone into the nook and corner of every area of this country. This is what the state is performing its role as, leeching our money, wasting it on things that we don't need, and every year, year upon year, the state nonchalantly, the parliament passes, gives 3 lakh crores, 4 lakh crores capital infusion, and we don't even bat an eyelid. We don't even protest. Most of these banks are loss-making banks. Most of the 1,830 PSUs are loss-making. That money can be used for other things, and we don't realize it. This is what the wealthier part of economy is. And if you think the situation is like this as far as public sector is concerned, maybe the government has spared the private sector. You might think that. But did you know, for example, that an MSME that on average employs 150 people on average spends 18 lakhs every year in filing compliances? India has 69,000 compliances, 25,000 at the state level. And at the rate, and I've calculated this so that you don't have to, at the rate at which you have to file compliances, 6,800 per year, every working day, every hour, you have to file a compliance. So by the time I finish this talk and there is a wealth generator among you, a businessman, you would have missed your filing date, liable to be arrested. We are still going by Factories Act. You have the top 5 states that contribute most to our GDP. They still have business clauses that have 1,000 imprisonment clauses. This is how we are running businesses, private businesses. This is how we think we are going to create wealth. Let me quickly come to the fourth and final aspect of the role of the state, to create a healthier workforce. Now, of course, as the adage goes, health is wealth. If you don't have a healthier workforce, you don't have a workforce. And admittedly, I gave you a few parameters about IMR and other things. India has made giant strides as far as health is concerned over the last 75 years. But the thing with health is that you can't look at the present data. You have to look at what the nation's health is going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. You have to project to the future. That is as far as the health quotient is concerned. You can't be dealing with the present. Now, ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, did a fantastic research about a few years ago. They wanted to find out what are the kind of diseases that afflict Indians now, as opposed to the kind of diseases that afflicted us 30 years ago before economic liberalization. So they made these 2 pie charts. It was very revealing. In 1990, before economic liberalization, 70% of the diseases that afflicted us were communicable diseases. That is to be expected. Tuberculosis, malaria, cholera. We lived in stifling conditions. We were a poor country. We had these diseases, viral-borne diseases, vector diseases, tuberculosis. Our air was contaminated, our water was contaminated. And only 30% were non-communicable diseases, like heart ailment, asthma, you had diabetes, you had cancer. And 30 years of economic liberalization and prosperity, the pie chart has completely flipped. Now 70% of the diseases that afflict us are non-communicable diseases, and only 30% are communicable diseases, and they're decreasing further and further and further, and we will eradicate them. For example, only a quarter of people die today of tuberculosis than they did 30 years ago. We have only 3 million cases of malaria, whereas 30 years ago we had 15 to 20 million cases of malaria. But it is the non-communicable diseases that are the worrying part, because the tsunami is not just approaching us, it has crossed us by. We have to look behind to look at the tsunami. India is right now under 50 the world cancer hub. India is right now the world asthma hub. When you talk of heart attack, India has the greatest proportion of heart attacks of under 60. And diabetes, 150, this is a Lancet study, 150 million Indians are confirmed pre-diabetic. That's more than the population of UK and France. 100 million Indians are confirmed diabetic, 10%. What is the state doing about it? Do we have a multi-billion, multi-trillion dollar selling anti-diabetes, anti-cancer, anti-asthma drug? Yes. We will be able to cure tuberculosis, malaria, eradicate it. But what is this other future that we're looking at? It's a dystopian future. And here I'll like to take a show of hands as to what the state is doing. How many amongst you know who Lakshmi Kutti is? Lakshmi Kutti. Okay, not a single hand has gone up. 6 months ago, I was in the same boat. Even I didn't know. I'll tell you who Lakshmi Kutti is. Lakshmi Kutti is an 85-year-old woman who spent most of her time in the forests of Western Ghats. And she's been collecting these medicinal herbs. And she's got a cornucopia of 500 medicinal plants that she uses to treat Adivasis and the tribals and the forest dwellers. And for this amazing contribution, the nation, the grateful nation, gave Lakshmi Kutti a Padma Shri 4 years ago. And Lakshmi Kutti came bare feet to Rashtrapati Bhavan, collected the award, and scampered back to the forest within a week, said, I'm not used to all this opulence. We should be having 100 Lakshmi Kutti products of natural product institutes. We should be finding out what is the active ingredient in each of those Lakshmi Kutti's plants. Who knows? One plant would give us that molecule, that drug, that is anti-diabetic, anti-cancer, anti-asthma, anti-heart attack, multi-billion, trillion dollar selling drug. And if you think this is a figment of my imagination, let me take another show of hands. How many among you know who 2UU is? 2UU. Again, not a single hand has gone up. Again, I was in the same boat. Let me tell you who 2UU, just like Lakshmi Kutti, 2UU is an 85-year-old woman. Of course, she's Chinese. Just like Lakshmi Kutti, she's dwelled all her life in the forests of China. She's been collecting these medicinal plants, like Lakshmi Kutti, treating the villagers and the forest dwellers like Lakshmi Kutti. But unlike Lakshmi Kutti, 2UU isolated the active ingredient of one of the herbs. And that is the only viable drug against malaria right now, artemisinin. And for that, 2UU got the Nobel Prize 3 years ago. And you know what's going to happen? I can predict it. Some lab in Nordic or Sweden will descend down the Western Ghats, will meet Lakshmi Kutti and say, can we please have your cornucopia, library of medicinal plants? And Lakshmi Kutti, being how she is, so kind and affable, would say, take it all, and they would take it to Sweden. They would isolate the active ingredient of one of our plants, and that would be the multi-billion dollar selling anti-diabetes drug, for which they would get the Nobel Prize. And at the Nobel Prize ceremony, they would thank Lakshmi Kutti, and we would be so happy we would give her a Bharat Ratna. Is this the role of a state? No, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the role of a state. This is a confused state that knows not what its role is to create a healthier, wealthier, wiser, more productive workforce. And if you believe, another just 10 minutes, because I have bashed the state enough, whereas I began with telling you that even we as a citizenry are confused about what our role is. It will not be fair if I don't elaborate on how we as a citizenry are also confused about what our role is. Now, you know, I'm all for a welfare state. India needs to be a welfare state. If we were not a welfare state, we would have wiped out tens, perhaps hundreds of millions of Indians, and nobody wants that. We want prosperity together as a country. Nobody wants an island of prosperity in an ocean of despair. Nobody wants a GDP per capita of $50,000 of a gated community. In entire countries wallowing in 2,000 or 3,000 GDP per capita. No one wants that. Welfarism saves lives. If Modi had not built 110 million toilets, did you know that every new toilet built has saved that household upwards of 50,000 rupees in health costs? If Modi had not provided 120 million tap water connection, did you know that diarrheal deaths under 5 have been slashed by half. Ayushman health card, 380 million people with those cards right now. Population more than 70 million has been treated. More than the population of UK has been treated through Ayushman health cards. The out-of-pocket expenditure that is the fastest descent of an Indian into poverty because he was forced to go to a hospital and become bankrupt has been slashed by 27%. 100 million gas connections through Ujjwala. Did you know that every year 150,000 Indians directly their lives is being saved because of LPG cylinder? Because even I didn't know this. The biggest cause for infant mortality in India is not some disease. It is household pollution. When the poor mother blows air through that pipe to light the chula, that is what used to kill the infant. Welfareism is important, not just welfare related to health, financial inclusion, Jan Dhan accounts, Mudra loans. And I would say, according to me, independent India's greatest achievement, to have vaccinated 1 billion Indians twice over within a year. Welfareism is crucial. But here is what we as citizenry have to realize, that there is a line between welfareism and freebieism. And we have to draw that line. And unless we draw that line, India, forget about 2047, we are looking at a bottomless abyss from which there is no escape. Forget even 2147. And politicians will not draw that line. Because for a politician, every freebie is welfareism. He will say, this is not freebieism. I am doing this for welfareism. Supreme Court will not draw that line. We ourselves as conscientious citizens have to draw that line, and I put it to you that we are so confused about what that line is, what freebieism is, what welfareism is, that we refuse to draw that line ourselves. Let me accentuate that with a glaring example at the risk of patronizing you, the wonderful audience. How many amongst you love your families? Please raise your hands. Of course, all the hands have gone up. Thank you so much. How many of your families are in debt? Okay, not a single hand has gone up. So all of you love your families. None of your families are in debt. Now again, at the risk of sounding patronizing, please, I apologize. How many of you, raise your hands, love India? All your hands. Sir, you're not a communist by any chance, are you? You're not from JNU, sir, are you? No. So all of you love your families. None of your families are in debt. All of you love India. Then how the hell are you and me able to sleep at night peacefully knowing that India is in a debt of 260 lakh crores? The combined state debt is 110 lakh crores. Who's going to pay for that? There is no such thing as free lunch. We don't have the luxury like America does. America is right now in a debt of $38 trillion, might as well be $50 trillion. They don't care. They're going to print that chopper money. We don't have that luxury. And when some of you applauded when I said 10 years ago we had 350 startups, today we have 120,000, those are the people on which the axe will fall the first. They would have to pay increased corporate tax. We simply do not realize that this cannot go on anymore, but it is going on and it is catching on further and further speed. When Rahul Gandhi proposed his Khatakat scheme, everyone rightly mocked. He said, I will give every eligible woman 1 lakh rupees every year. And BJP said, rightly so, are you mad? We are going to go bankrupt. But then came Maharashtra elections. And BJP promised exactly that. 1,500 rupees per month to every eligible Maharashtrian woman aged 21 to 60. Costing the exchequer 51,000 crores every year. And the then incumbent chief minister said, if you vote me to power, I will double it to 3,000 rupees. Costing the exchequer 1 lakh crores. What is the debt of Maharashtra right now? People blame Kejriwal, rightly so, as being the freebie king, putting states in debt. Maharashtra's debt is 8 lakh crores. Karnataka's debt is 7.5 lakh crores. Who's going to pay for this? And what happened when BJP promised the same? BJP won. Rahul Gandhi said, we want an MSP guarantee, minimum support price guarantee on all agricultural produce. And BJP rightly mocked him, said, are you crazy? We are going to go bankrupt very soon. We are going to shell out 16 to 20 lakh crores every year if we guarantee MSP. Of course we can't do this. But then came Haryana election. And BJP promised exactly the same to every Haryana farmer. And what happened? BJP won. We are doing this as citizens. And I admit to you, it's not that easy to draw that line. What is freebie? What is welfareism? I have defined it. We all have to define it in our own small way. I have defined it as welfareism is using Indian taxpayers' money for the welfare of the country. It is pro-national. And freebism as using Indian taxpayers' money for the benefit of the political party, for the politician, for appeasing, placating a vote bank. So welfareism is pro-national, freebism is anti-national. Let me give you a few examples of what I mean by freebism. Every political party promises, once it wins the election, to send its gentry for free pilgrimage. Why? That's our taxpayer money. When Kejriwal was the chief minister of my state, bless him, he's no longer, although his soul carries with the Delhiite wherever he goes, he promised the senior citizens of Delhi free pilgrimage to Dwarka. It's our taxpayer money. What are you doing? You're placating your vote bank. Every political party does it. Congress promised them to send them to Madurai Meenakshi. Samajwadi Party promised them to Ajmer. BJD promised to Jagannath Puri. And BJP is not immune to it. In Nagaland, they promised senior citizens free trip to Jerusalem. Ayodhya to leke nahi gaye, Jerusalem le ja rahe the. Tens of thousands of our money. Hajj subsidy, iftar parties, paying monthly salaries to imam, priests, loan, interest-free loan if you want to set up a shop. This is our money. You are using it for appeasement, for placating a vote bank. That is freebism. Let me give you another example. In the last decade or so, yes, just 2 minutes. In the last decade or so, the central government has spent more than 8,000 crores in government ads. What are these ads? These ads placate each other, wish each other happy birthday. They scratch your back, I scratch you scratch mine. Those full-page, center-spread mugs of politicians wishing each other. 8,000 crores of our money. But it's not just that it's a freebie. The dangers are so obvious. They are bribing the press. Now, you've seen media always take up these campaigns that are moral and ethical. Have you ever seen a media campaign to stop government ads? No, because they're fighting like cats and dogs for that money. And the politicians know that these thousands of crores, we're going to give it to you, you print good news. If you don't, we're going to turn this tap off. That is freebism. Very briefly, in 2005, celebrated economists, Dr. Manmohan Singh and Dr. Montague Singh Ahluwalia, of course, they said, we can't go on like this. We will go bankrupt the way we are dishing out pension. In 1980, only 2% of our revenue went in giving pensions. In 2005, it is 10 times that, 20%. So they came up with the new pension system, or NPS, whereby you would have the employee contribution of 10 to 14% of the government contribution, as opposed to what is now called the OPS, where you have the 50% of the last drawn out salary, and that was tax-free as well. And soon the center and many states started following the NPS. Then in 2022, another celebrated economist, Rahul Gandhi, of course he went to Himachal Pradesh. And he said, if you vote me to power, I will junk the scheme that I brought, my economist brought. And I will revert to OPS. Himachal had 1.3 employees. Himachal had 1.3 lakh government employees, 1.6 lakh pensioners. Congress won. And it wasn't Modi who stood up and invented the word Revdi for freebie. It was Congress's own Montague Singh Ahluwalia. He said, what are you doing? You're going to go bankrupt. The then RBI chief, who is now the advisor to Rahul Gandhi, said, don't do it, you will go bankrupt. Nobody listened until the chief minister of Himachal Pradesh got up in the floor of the house and said, we are bankrupt. We don't have the money to pay salaries to our MLAs. They were about to tax a second toilet of a family. They have mortgaged Himachal Bhavan in Delhi. 74% of Himachal's revenue now go up in propping up the old pension scheme that is costing 5 times as much as NPS did. More than 1 lakh crore is the debt of Himachal, a small state like Himachal. This is what we did. We elected the government that promised us freebie and delivered us freebie. We are responsible. We are the confused lot. And finally, just 2 minutes, the mother of all freebie, is the MSP, minimum support price. Now, this is a relic of the Soviet Union. At one point of time, we needed to guarantee the farmers, otherwise they would have died. They weren't very rich. But now the fact of the matter is that this is like a government scheme. The government keeps on procuring more and more and more of the food grain that it cannot even store. It doesn't even need. No politician has the guts to say we have to stop procuring. Our buffer limit mandated by the parliament is 41 million tons. It hovers around 25 million tons every year. 2 years ago, it was 100 million tons, 60 millions over and above. Rats were eating it. In fact, when COVID struck, we could not distribute 8 million tons of food grain because it was unedible. Farmers have lost 45 lakh crores in the last 16 years through faulty agricultural produce and MSP pricing. Nobody wants MSP. Farmers don't want MSP, and yet government doesn't have the guts because this is the freebie. It wants to placate its vote bank. And if you think this is a case of farmers, it doesn't affect us as a socio-economic strata, let me give you one direct example how MSP is hitting us the most. Now, with the advent of MSP and the government guaranteeing the price for the crop, but naturally the farmers started growing only that crop. And so more and more of rice was grown in Punjab and Haryana. And the water table, because rice is a water guzzling crop, went down alarmingly. And for a change, the government was alarmed. And the government brought in a law. And the government said, from now on, you will sow rice at the onset of monsoon. And so the rice sowing season was delayed. And of course, the rice harvesting season was delayed as well because now it coincides with the onset of winter. And right now, the AQI of Delhi is 900. Respectable AQI is 30 to 40. Because 35 million tons of parali rice stubble is being burnt because the farmers have to turn over for the new crop. Every year, more than 50 to 60,000 farmlands in Punjab, Haryana, now increasingly Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh are being burnt. We are spending 150 times more in treating respiratory diseases than we were had we just bought the happy seeder machines that would have taken out the rice stubble in an eco-friendly way. The cost of that, $70 million. The amount of ad budget of central government in Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, $1,300 million. That is why I say, ladies and gentlemen, we were a banana republic ever since we became a republic. But हमें तो banana republic से republic बनाना है. If we don't understand the role of the state, how confused it is, the role of the citizens, how confused it is, and remove that confusion that shrouds us, how are we going to achieve Viksit Bharat? But I hope we do. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir said we wouldn't call him again. Perhaps, I think he underestimated how engaging his speech would be, because after that delivery, sir, calling him again feels less like a choice, but more like a necessity. I would now call upon the chairperson, Dr. M.R. Venkatesh, to please.
How much time you give for question answers? You have anything? 15 minutes for question answers? Definitely. Gentlemen, you raise your hand first, you will get it. 1 minute, sir. I want to see whether this is AI-induced glasses. Because so much of statistics one man cannot keep between his 2 ears. Sir, the floor is yours.
MR, I have an explanation for that. I believe if a man remembers his marriage anniversary, he can remember anything.
Sir, only one question. Finally, where we stand by 2047, please tell us in 30 seconds.
Could you repeat that, please? Where we?
Where we stand by 2047.
Where we would stand by 2047?
Yeah.
Yes. That is again $1 million question. I hope we undertake the reforms that some... Because let me tell you, the other tsunami that has already come has not passed us, that is adjacent to us, that is going to pass us if we are not careful, which is AI. AI is going to take millions of jobs. AI is going to take perhaps all the jobs that require mental faculties. And robotics is not as advanced as yet. but maybe when you talk of 2047, AI-driven robotics will also take up the physical jobs. The comparisons are very logical and rational. A century ago, you had 10,000 people harvesting a farm. Now you have one combine harvester. You can never go back to 10,000 people. Economics tells you do not do that, and people don't do it. Likewise, person like me as a scientist, honestly, I'm telling you, I should be fired within 5 years. Because the job that I'm supposed to do, discover a new drug. 2 months ago, there was an amazing paper in Cell, one of the most prestigious papers in science, the Cell, where a lab in MIT and 18 other labs, they took just 5 elements, carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, and they generated in silico through AI machine learning 41 million molecules. Out of that, 20 were made, 7 were tested, and 4 turned out to be the most potent antibiotics yet known against hospital MRSA infection. All this within a month. That is what scientists used to do for 60 years. And this is today. So, sir, when you ask of 2047, I shudder to think the most important question that we as humans have to ask genuinely is, what are we going to do? I hope CA field is there.
Anybody? Gentleman there. There, on the check shirt. Check shirt, yourself. Yeah. You got a lottery. Yes. 1 minute, ma'am. I have just a minute.
Hi, Anand. So my question is, there are around 2,500 political parties in India. Whatever you said now, whatever points you pointed out, whatever points you pointed out can be solved with one absolute point, being the political landscape. How do you see it changing, or will it even change to become more adaptable? For example, if I have to give one example, even if I don't like the candidate in my constituency, I still have to vote for him for the ideology of the party to be in power. Do you see this changing, or how do you see this in 2047?
Yes.
I don't see much of a change there. I think it's going in the other direction. It's, regressive. It's not progressive in that sense. But I think as a country, as I said, the biggest flux is going to come when suddenly we don't have enough jobs for our people. I think that is going to make the politicians realize that they just can't keep on doling even freebies, because people have to be employed. At the end of the day, they have to have some jobs to do. And if you have AI and AI-related technology take up every job that we can think of, India would possibly suffer the least in the medium term, because most of our labor force, as I said, 44% is involved in physical labor. So we possibly not suffer to that, although I took the example of combine harvester. So there we would lose a lot of jobs. But the question that you asked has to be asked at a more visceral level. And the visceral, and that is why I've always been a nota voter. Because I don't believe in this thing that democracy is, or you choose, what is it they say, the lesser of the two evils, or the one who's lesser evil. Someone who's a lesser evil is also evil. But of course, if everyone were to think like me, we would not have elections at all. So, you can say I'm being a hypocrite, wanting a great country but not voting because I don't want to vote for a corrupt politician. So I really don't know the answer to that. I hope political parties realize that the movement for rapid progress is so fast that you have to compete at a Darwinian level. Our states are not doing that right now. To give you one great example of 20 years ago, when you had Tata Nano plant, you had so much protest in Bengal. And Modi came along and said, well, why don't you come to Gujarat? The state should be competing every single time. The state should be competing for gaining, and not just states, India should be competing. And I've said this publicly. when China devastated the world in terms of health, in terms of economy, through COVID, deliberately, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, even though the virus was not made in the lab, it was spread by the lab, and deliberately it was made to spread even further and further. We should have had a white paper weaning all the industries that were in China, one by one. We didn't do that, and as a result, right now, China hasn't paid for its sins. Our deficit with China is highest ever.
100 billion.
It's crossed $100 billion, So somebody has to realize it. I just hope we do.
Sir,
But do you
sir,
think?
the mic to that lady, please.
But do you think?
No,
reducing the
secondary.
number
No,
of
we are not.
parties-
Parliament does not allow supplementaries. We are very parliamentary. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, what should be the role of citizens like us in these circumstances? I am not asking for government. I am not asking for politicians. I am asking for us. What can we do for the country?
This is a question, thank you ma'am for asking this, because this is the most important question. Is the most obvious question, but everyone is given the wrong answer. Everyone keeps on thrusting responsibility on the citizen day in and day out, and now on the youngsters day in and day out. And I say, stop. You have done enough. The people who you elected, they haven't done anything. They are the ones who are guilt tripping you. And I hate it when people say, ki youngster, tumhara kartavya hai. No, stop this bullshit. We are the ones who've shackled you. We are the ones, despite knowing the benefits of economic liberalization, have again and continue to shackle. We might have unshackled one leg, but you're still hobbling. We haven't shackled the other leg. We keep on repeating the same failed experiments. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I mean, like when we have this latest tariff war going on. As far as the first tariff was concerned, I am with Donald Trump. I am against tariffs. India should not have had high tariffs, particularly for goods that we make better than the states. A pencil, for example. Now, a pencil whose quality, Indian quality is the same as American quality. The American pencil, if sold out here, would be 10 times more expensive because their wages are 10 times more. And yet we have 80% tariffs on American pencils. It doesn't make sense. Japan has 0 tariffs on American cars. And Japanese don't buy American cars. That's not how evolution works. Evolution works on free enterprise, free trade, zero protectionism, fair competition. And we don't encourage that. When it hurts me when Prime Minister says farmers' interest is paramount. Of course, it's paramount for me as well. But why are you protecting the farmers' interest? Why are you protecting our dairy? Your experience has shown in the last 20, 30 years, whichever field you've opened up, we have become world beaters in it. Look at our cars, look at everything where we were allowed to compete, and where we had protectionism, we had Campa Cola, we had ambassadors. Do we want to go back to the era?
Bata.
Yes, forgotten about that.
Bata shoes.
That's right.
What gravity is to physics, competition is to economics. So fundamental. Yes, sir. Sir, last question is yours. Venkat, you are the president, so it will be seen as some sort of a insider trading.
Okay, one question to you is, as you rightly said, that the government scheme like Ladki Behna, which we talk from Maharashtra, is really draining of the resources. And yes, I'm very sure all in this room know that we should not be supporting that scheme. But one reality, the 10 crore taxpayers don't like that scheme. But the fact of the matter is, the rest 50 crores are the one who make the politicians sit there. How can we answer that question?
Yes. Again, the question to be asked is, and that goes for the political expediency at the altar of winning elections. You very rightly said, nobody wants free dole to give out free doles because it is our money. But why do then politicians, and increasingly, I mean, the pace is now scary. You've seen Bihar. You've seen what happened. There, no question asked, one-time payment was given. And what happened, you've seen the results as well, you know. Every political party is doing it. If BJP doesn't do it, the rivals are going to offer even more. The BJP is in a great position to win election because it doesn't just promise it, it delivers it. Because it is the power, you know. Other political parties can't deliver it. But sooner or later, as I said, how did we reach the situation of 1990 that we did? Of course, the situation was not the same during the 80s, but it was approaching towards that. Will it approach right now? Our economic macro fundamentals are very strong. But who is to know? This debt keeps on accumulating. Right now, 260 lakh crores. Something cataclysmic happens, a war or whatever it happens, and suddenly you are made to shell out this money. What will happen then? We have to realize this. Who has the guts to do it? Why is the Supreme Court silent here? Why can't the Supreme Court say, give us 5 things that you think are welfare and not freebies? At least start from there. As I said, it's not very easy to draw that line, because many people would say, rightly so, that when Ms. Sitaraman exempted 12 lakh
Why
as
are
a
you
ceiling,
looking at me?
sorry. When Ms. Sitaraman exempted 12 lakhs from tax, that was more money in the pocket of middle class. We didn't see it as freebie, did we? We didn't. So then a poor woman in Maharashtra can say, why are you grudging if somebody gives me 1,500 crores in my pocket? I'm spending it. I'm increasing the consumption. I'm contributing to the economy. All these questions have to be asked now, not 5 years from now, sir.
Okay, last question, Venkat.
Anand sir, you made, please surround sir. Anand sir, you made a statement that the GST reform is very unique. GST reform is unique, marquee. We are collecting 200,000 crores, 2 lakh crores. Yamar, do you agree with that? 1, are we at the optimum levels? 2.
I'm so glad that you've asked him, not me.
Two. Some of the facts that Anand sir was quoting, you are fighting, including the Thiruparam Kundram.
Including the?
Thiruparam Kundram's case. How do you want to differ?
No. Thiruparam Kundram case, I don't think so. He's having any problem. Only thing I am fighting it. That's a separate thing.
Deal with it.
Okay.
Deal with it.
Can I answer this question? Sir, already you had one question. Sir, during tea time,
I'm around, so you can please.
sir, after tea time, you have Anand
Love
here.
to interact.
I assure you, I will delay his flight. He's flying through Indigo. So, so I will ensure that he's available for any number of questions. We have the next session also. I have a responsibility to hand it over on time. We started with GST.
Yes.
GST started with 90,000 crore collection in the year 2017, July. Now we are around 180,000 crores after 8.5 years. So doubled. So golden rule in doubling is 72 divided by number of years. So we had a CAGR of 9%. And subtract the inflation of around 5-6%. The actual rate of growth of economy would be 3 to 4% in the last 9 years. Now, GST is a good benchmark, and of this, as you said, 13.5% of agriculture, no tax, and GST has by and large covered vast spectrums of the economy, and manufacturing, which was around 15% in 2014, has actually dwindled to 13%. Despite so much of, and that is why Anand's statistics was a very peculiar set of statistics which he gave. The left eye AI in the glass would give positive ones. And in the left eye it would always give the negative ones. The right eye would give the positive ones. So there is a
The left is negative, right is positive.
Okay, understood. The fact of the matter is, we are in a threshold, an inflection point. Citizens have to think, so has the state. No country has gone into something stupendous, great, wonderful, surely by the efforts of the state. It is the entrepreneurs, the teachers, the farmers, the lawyers, the educationists, the accountants, all the scientists, the journalists, all these have made a nation great. It has not been made great because of IAS, IPS, ICS. No. Bureaucracy can only be a missile. The bomb has to come from all of us, partly from the state and substantially from the citizens. I think if this role clarity is obtained, that we have to make India great, it is not the job of Modi or Rahul Gandhi or any political party or any political system. It is we, the people of India, have to deliver on to ourselves greatness by 2047. Unfortunately, we are still confused like Hanumanji at Kanyakumari, not knowing what our strength is. We all require daily doses of Sundarakandam. That we should learn our strengths, we should have our strengths. We are a great nation, we can do it. But as we see amongst a huge forest of data that Anand has thrown, patches of baldness. And to a man from an alien if he were to visit India, he would see it as a land of paradoxes. Something so bright, something so chaotic, something so wonderful, something so disturbing. It's a paradoxical land. We are highly confused. And if this session were to contribute to the confusion, it is solely Anand's problem. If there were any clarity, it is my credit. Thank you very much.
I just always I begin by saying I'm always invited only once, so I ask a question, will I be invited again?
Thank you, Anand.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking us beyond number in charts and straight into the heartbeat of India's future. Thank you so much, sir, for explaining how important it is to have healthier, wealthier, wiser, adaptive and more flexible workforce to enrich our economy and build India to be Viksit Bharat by 2047. And ladies and gentlemen, a small thought. 2047 is not just a milestone, it is a mission. It is not something we enter, it is something we create, because India's story is not written with fear. It is written with faith, faith in our people, our ideas, our courage and our collective vision. Ladies and gentlemen, please give Anand Ranganathan a huge round of applause. And our chairperson, CA M.R. Venkatesh sir. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Now I request all of you that we have a parallel session running in another hall right opposite from here. Request gentlemen who want to attend the parallel session. We have two sessions that are happening simultaneously, one in the main hall and the one in another hall that is right opposite from here. Request you to give your gracious presence in both of the sessions. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our parallel session 1, Scaling Up in Practice and Artificial Intelligence in Practice, running in the main hall with Chairperson, Senior Advocate Premlata Bhansal, speakers, CA Guru Prasad Makam, CA Chetan Venugopal, and moderator as CA Rajendra Rao. And another parallel session 2, Input Tax Credit, Intricacies, Chairperson, Advocate Nikita Badeka, and speaker as CA V.S. Sudhir. Request both the sessions, request all the delegates here to give your gracious presence in both of the sessions. Thank you.
Saka.
ಬಂದೆ ಓಕೆನಾ ಓಕೆನಾ
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be beginning with our third session for the day shortly. I request all of you to please get back to your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, I request all of you to get back to your seats as we begin the third and the last session for today, Scaling Up in Practice and Artificial Intelligence in Practice. We have two parallel sessions going on at the same time. Parallel session 1 will be happening in this hall, Scaling Up in Practice and Artificial Intelligence in Practice. Parallel session 2 is happening right across this hall, outside, Input Tax Credit Intricacies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the tea break. We will now begin our parallel session 1, Scaling Up in Practice and Artificial Intelligence in Practice. We request CA Abhilasha Chaturvedi, CA Heramba Hegde, CA Prabhava P. Hegde, and CA Pradeep Jogi to please escort our chairperson, Senior Advocate Premalata Bansal, Moderator CA Rajendra Rao, Speaker 1 CA Guruprasad Makam, and Speaker 2 CA Chetan Venugopal onto the dais and present them with the memento.
Presiding over this insightful journey is our distinguished chairperson, Senior Advocate Premlata Bansal. Started practice in Delhi, she was appointed as Standing Counsel by the Income Tax Department in 1994, as Senior Standing Counsel in 2002, and was designated as Senior Advocate by Delhi High Court in January 2011. She has addressed various conferences and seminars all over India and has addressed Lahore High Court Bar Association and other tax bar associations. Can we have a huge round of applause for her?
To guide the rhythm of today's dialogue, we have our moderator, CA Rajendra Rao, a sharp mind who knows how to balance expertise with engagement, a practicing chartered accountant and a distinguished professional who represents the voice and vision of chartered accountants in Karnataka. We warmly welcome you, sir.
Can we have a huge round of applause? We welcome you, sir. On to our first speaker of this event, CA Guru Prasad Makam. He is the founder of Guru and Jana. He had a vision to be amidst the top 20 chartered accountancy firms in India by 2020 and now has the vision to clone the firm. He is also the founder of Vardhan, a boutique social responsibility advisory, and the founder of Pathway, a SEBI-registered angel investment firm. He has authored over 100 articles in internationally acclaimed Frozen Thoughts. He is the author of God in the Boardroom and the author of Banter Beyond the Buck. We are glad to have you here, sir.
Our next speaker, CA Chetan Venugopal, is the co-founder of Peerin Group of Companies, a global BPM company with a team of 2,500 plus professionals specialized in managing services. He has conducted the Sarbanes-Oxley compliance audits for prominent companies in the APAC region and has served as an independent director on the board of IRFC, Indian Railways Finance Corporation, between 2019 and 2021. We are so grateful to have you with us, sir. A huge round of applause for all the dignitaries on the dais. With this, we begin with the third session for the day and the last one, Scaling Up in Practice and Artificial Intelligence in Practice. I now request our chairperson, Senior Advocate Premlata Bansal, to please give her opening remarks.
Friends, I welcome you all in this third technical session, that is scaling of AI in legal practice. Friends, after the mesmerizing deliberation by Dr. Anand Ranganathan, we have come on earth now. At that speech, we were feeling that we are in the sky, but now we have come on earth. Friends, I am not shying in admitting that I don't know AI. I don't know how to use AI. I don't know how to run AI. I have come here to learn AI from our worthy speakers, Mr. Guru Prasad Makam and CA Chetan Venugopal, sir. I have come here to learn from you, sir. I, being the old practitioner, I still use Mr. Padam Khicha's commentary, revised commentary on Sampath Iyengar's book, and Mr. Arvind Datar's revised commentary, Kanga Palkiwala. I don't know, so Mr. Padam Khicha will teach me, but he will not teach me, otherwise I will not read his commentary. So Mr. Padam Khicha will not teach me AI, I think so. So friends, now on the subject. Friends, AI is very tough for me, but it is very easy for the young practitioners. It's an easy tool in the hands of young practitioners. I think nowadays, young practitioner doesn't use the commentary, which is much more important in the legal practice. Legal practice since long has been fundamentally understood as labor-intensive practices. Every day we used to read the commentary, we used to read the statute, we used to learn the legal provisions and meticulous drafting. And after drafting, we used to vetting. And it was the time consuming for us. But now AI has made it much easier, less time consuming. The advent of artificial intelligence has makes a departure from those traditional approaches. Understanding the technological nexus of AI with the legal practice. Actually, what AI, that is the sophisticated array of technology, including natural language. You know that even Supreme Court is using that platform of Vedic Anuvad for making the judgments into different languages like Tamil, Hindi and other languages, Bengali, so as to reach to the rural area to make them understand what this judgment says. So AI is very much important. Actually, natural language processing, then robotic process automation and machine learning. That is what AI is. The support nowadays, AI is not only the peripheral that research, peripheral search and all that. Now AI is useful in drafting, reasoning, analysis and future prediction as well. Am I wrong, sir? Nowadays it is used. So the AI is very an important tools in the hands of legal practitioners. AI has accelerated the legal research. Earlier advocate used to mean that having the thick glasses, pair of glasses, a cup of tea on the table, and an attendant to bring the book from the library stack. And if he doesn't bring quickly, that we are used to annoy on him. But now AI has saved us to have the dust of library stay. Am I correct, sir? Because nobody is using now the ITRs and Taxmans and all other magazines. Everything is available on AI. As soon as the proposition is made on AI, and everything will come out. So that is the use of AI. But the time consumption is less. Legal research has been made easier. It is useful in drafting. Earlier, even now, AI has made the drafting easier. It makes the flagging on the issues where the attention is required. What is the amendment has to be made? In which area, in which line, the amendment has to be made. That has become much more easier in AI. So now, even the strategic benefits are also there of AI, and even government is taking much more initiative. The thrust of the government is on digital learning to the young students, and have made much more expenditure on this area, have established the research center on AI. But there are also the hazards. Everything brings within itself the hazards as well. And what are those hazards? I must say that AI is replacing the man with machine. Our country is the labor intensive. We have humongous manpower. Today, Mr. Venkat Ramani is having 250 chartered accountants with him. But I think that after 10 years with the advent of AI, Mr. Venkat Ramani will have half of the chartered accountants with him. So Mr. Ramani, don't do that. We have not to use AI in that manner, because our country is labor intensive, and therefore we have not to replace man with machine. That's all, friends. Now we will hear Mr. Guru Prasad and Mr. Chetan Venugopal. Thank you, friends.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that engaging address.
We now request the moderator, C.A. Rajendra Rao, to address the gathering.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very good evening to you. Good evening. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that the subject of this session, which is scaling up practice and AI in practice, was not something that came up very casually. Venkat, you can hear me? Sorry. Okay. This wasn't a very casual topic that was thought about, because I believe both these topics, when taken together, are extremely important, and I believe considerable thought has gone into not only coming up with this topic, but also designing the format in which it is to be presented to you by two genuine stalwarts who have lived this entire AI and scaling up dream. For decades now, our thought of scaling up was just three formulas: more people, more offices, more hours. But that, in those cases, the growth was only linear, and you never had anything that was extraordinary. But technology has now come to challenge those assumptions, and technology has now become the game changer. Technology now helps you to scale. But what does it help you to scale? Not what you believe, but it helps you to scale your thoughts, your consistency, your insight, and your ethics. So there is a change in the manner in which we will all scale, in which we will all use AI for our profession, but we have to make no mistake, the march of AI is inexorable. There is no escaping it. No matter how far you would like to ignore it, it will overtake you and consume you someday. I believe sooner rather than later. In saying what I did, I think there is one, as they say, an elephant in the room. That is the questions that we are very shy to answer, or we don't want to look at. And these are the ethics part of the AI that is looking at us in the face. The questions are, what is our accountability? What is the ethics? And what is the future of the profession in the face of this march of AI? These are the questions we need to answer. Chetan and Guru will answer them completely, I have no doubt about it. But these are the questions that we should not escape from or we should shy away from. The theme of this session would be, does AI change the economics of our delivery of service? What you could do in 2 days, you can do in half a day. So, does it change the economics? How does the partner, the leaders, and the firm recalibrate its mindset? Today, we are living in a day where we cannot continue to think in the manner that we did 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. There has been a metamorphic change in this software landscape, and if we don't change our mindscape, if we don't recalibrate our thinking, recalibrate the way in which we acquire talent, we just can't acquire BComs or people in the accounting. We need to have people who are also having some basic skills in AI. So our talent acquisition, our thinking, our strategy, if it is not in line with AI, we might find ourselves falling behind our competitors. So AI is, I'm not saying it's a mantra, but it's something that we should embrace. I think we should befriend it rather than being apprehensive about what it is likely to do for us. I'll just take another 60 seconds and give you a few fun facts and maybe some insight into AI. The AI piece is obviously, as everybody knows, the software piece and the hardware piece. That's a no-brainer. What AI does is it trains machines to mimic human intellect, and it also does tasks that need human cognition. So those two things are the software piece. Everybody knows it. But it's the hardware that may not be completely in everybody's knowledge. AI normally resides in data centers, and data centers are extremely complicated and very, very expensive facilities in which huge amounts of computing power reside. Huge, when I say huge, it is beyond belief. All of us in our laptops or desktops, we use only chips called the CPUs, but these take it to some higher level. They use what are called GPUs and TPUs and the entire suite of chips that NVIDIA makes. So these are extremely high-powered computing devices, and having said that, and considering the scale at which they operate, data centers, of course, they cost, at a minimum, a data center will cost you about 100 million. I'm saying a minimum. And it could go into billions of dollars depending upon the scale at which you are operating. But these data centers are, like I said, monsters in terms of computing power, but they're also huge amounts, extraordinary amounts of electricity and water is also consumed. So I don't know how many of you are aware, but this is in a sense, a collateral effect on the environment because there are greenhouse gases there's a green effect of the amount of energy that it generates and the amount of heat that it generates. So let me just give you a few numbers. I can never be equal to Anand Ranganathan, but in 2024, the global consumption of electricity only by data centers across the world was about 415 terawatts. Terawatts is 1 billion watts, which is 1 followed by 12 zeros, okay? All across the world, 415, which in last year was only 1.2% of the entire electricity consumption. Now, this is going to expand to 20% in the next 5 years by 2030. So it will be exponential from 1.5 or 1.2 to 20%. In that 415, this is a nice piece of information that I was able to get. The data centers only in the US used about 40% of that energy, which is about 180 odd terawatts. Now 185, just to give an example, 185 terawatts of power that the US data centers consumed is equal to the annual power consumption of the whole of Pakistan. Pakistan consumes 185. Every single item, every single switch that you put on in Pakistan for a year consumes about 185. And only the data centers, I'm not talking about US households, US industries, nothing. US data centers consume 185%. 85 terawatts. So that is the scale of energy it requires. Now, all of us heard about Google setting up putting up a data center in Visakhapatnam. and I believe it's going to be the largest data center in Asia. But actually it is not the largest because it is going to use only 1 gigawatt of power. I'm talking about 415 terawatts. 1 terawatt is 1,000 gigawatt. Google is only going to use 1 gigawatt. So you can just see the difference in the scale of the operations of Google at Visakhapatnam versus the entire global scale. It's big, but it's not big enough. I mean, nobody's complaining, and that will cost about a couple of $2 or $3 billion. So that is what energy, that's the kind of energy requirement that these data centers are going to use. In terms of, I bring down the scale, one data center in a year will use the power that 1 lakh houses use. 1 lakh houses is equal to 1 data center. And as I mentioned, 60% of the power is meant for generating the servers, creating heat, 40% is for cooling down. So the cooling down effect is actually, I'm just giving a little bit of information about data centers because that is going to be what India is going to start setting up in great demand, data centers, because we have the land. And as I mentioned to you, Visakhapatnam was chosen because it has access to water. And the reason I'm saying this is that a data center, a small data center needs 20 lakh liters of water every single day, which is equal to about 7,500 households. So that's the reason why I think Visakhapatnam was chosen, because this has a perennial source of water supply. So that is what I believe was the reason for choosing a place, a coastal area like Visakhapatnam. So having just given you a little bit of brief about data centers, before I actually start quizzing our panelists, there's one more thing that I would like to bring to your attention. Our knowledge or our exposure to AI is normally related to ChatGPT or something equivalent like a DeepSeek, Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity. But actually, if you see, AI is a family and a large family of programs. Some of them are very specialized programs. And the list that I just gave you come within a family called chatbots. Can you just, Prabha, can you just show the image, please? I'll just give you an image of the kinds of AI that are available for use for purposes that you would not even have thought of. Just look at this. If you look at the top left, you have ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Gemini, Grok. This is what we think is AI. But that's only one single small part of AI. AI has got something for presentations, for image generation, for meeting notes, video generation. All these are AIs. And this is only a sample set of the AIs that are available in the public domain, maybe for a subscription or free. There are so many other AIs that people develop for in-house use. So the amount of the suite of software that is available to all of us is literally limitless, and the amount of data that they will provide you is also in trillions of bytes of data. So please don't restrict your knowledge of AI only to what is seen on the top left. It is far, far more, and there are specialized AIs for specialized topics. So your choice is actually wider than you may have possibly imagined. And the choice is specialized. So if you want something only on scheduling your meetings, you can look at clockwise, motion, whatever you want. So please make yourself familiar with all this, and please start using it in a manner that makes life simpler. You want me to start with the questions? I'm done. So I'm sure that these two gentlemen, both of whom are giants in their own field, will answer questions. And if anybody would like to query them instantly, I don't know. Do you mind an instant query? Yeah, so you don't need to really wait till the end of the session for a Q&A. If there's a contextual question you'd like to ask Chetan or Guru, please feel free to go ahead and ask that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the eloquent address. It truly sets the tone to the session.
With this, we now begin with the session, and I request CA Guru Prasad Makam, first speaker, to please begin with the presentation.
Actually, I don't have a presentation. We'll just go through the Q&A.
Okay.
Rajendra, permitted to ask questions now or later?
Anytime. Anytime, Venkat.
Right now?
Sure.
Oh, okay, begin.
Okay. Padam, you can't override the president. Okay. I know, true. He has his Padam's prerogative is all-encompassing. Okay. Okay, if you'll. Okay, I've tried to break up my questions for my panelists into 7 small sections, and the first section is just setting the context of AI. Question for both of you. Okay, in case you want to see this. I'll give Guru one. You don't have to get a chicken neck. So the first question for the both of you is that when you talk about scaling up, which of the 3 elements do you emphasize on most? People, process, or technology?
I think all the 3 are very important. You can't discount the importance of people. Technology cannot be successful unless you have well streamlined process. You know, the first step for actually putting a technology in place is to make sure the process is well defined, your risks and controls are properly defined, and then you lay a technology on top of that. Technology helps you to scale, because today a lot of things is people dependent. You know, anything you get new for a company like ours. I'm not a practicing chartered accountant. We are running a professional services firm. It is a business process. So it's a huge people-dependent company. So if I get a new business, I've got to hire people. But because of advent of technology and AI, it is helping us to scale much faster with the help of technology.
Thank you. Okay.
With the help of technology. So if I get new business, it's not necessary that I have to hire people in the same linear fashion. The technology helps me to put a lot of things in place and helps me to scale much faster. So that's one thing. But you can never do anything without the people. So there's a combination that you have to make sure that, but technology enables to speed up, make things much quicker, also in terms of accuracy, and safer in terms of output.
Okay. Guru.
Same one?
Same question, if you can
So,
supplement.
hi, thank you for all of you for listening. I would like to talk mostly from the profession of filing tax returns and things like that, because I am a practicing chartered accountant. Unlike Chetan, who is a corporate entity, I am a practicing chartered accountant. In terms of people, process and technology, it does impact us quite a lot. One few examples I could give is, we all have the same problem of getting data from clients. Suppose you are filing income tax returns or you are filing a GST return. We have the same problem of calling the client 10 times. He doesn't send the returns. Sometimes he sends 6 months bank statement, after that he doesn't send. So any of these type of situations, or we have the same problem of employees quitting. People join today, within 6 months they go. So we need to map where is this in our lives. One example as a chartered accountant in practice is getting data is complex. Use tools which will help you get data. That will help us quite a lot, because if you file a tax return of a person, at least you are spending 50% of your time in writing mails for collecting data. If I can reduce that, my margin goes up by 25%. Second, lot of time goes when an employee quits. He was doing the tax audit of last year. He filed the income tax return. He has done the analysis of bank last year. Current year is not there. So in case we can concentrate specifically on, chart out some 5-6 problems. Collecting data, transition is a problem, arithmetical accuracy is a problem, or peer review. In case you are a chartered accountant in practice, somebody will come for verification of your records. That is a problem. Only concentrate on this 5-6 and get technology only for this 5-6. Don't do too many things, we'll get lost in technology.
So essentially, technology and processes in place doesn't make you person dependent. Attrition is to some extent mitigated. The risk of attrition is mitigated.
Correct.
Okay. Especially a question for you, considering you have scaled up metamorphically. What strategies did you adopt to effectively scale your practice from where you were when you started to the heights that you have risen to just now?
Sir, only one correction. We have scaled up, but he has scaled up metamorphically.
I will ask him the question next.
Next
I took it in this direction.
So, one important element in scaling up is speed is required for a client. A client needs responses very fast. He comes in the last date. September is the tax audit season, October is the season, he comes in August. Till that time, he doesn't come. But if I turn it around and give it to him, that would be the first thing. So the client is happy in case you get back faster. So use of technology in getting back faster is the first point you have to concentrate.
Correct.
The second point you have to concentrate is all our margins are coming down. Now income tax faceless assessment is come up, and so that hearing is not there anymore. When margins are coming down, costs are going up. If at all our routine processes like bank reconciliation statement or preparing Schedule 3 or preparing a statement of affairs, if you are looking at a 12A return, a 12A application is famous right now. If I can use technology in doing these things, margins can go up. So if I can couple up these two, scaling up becomes easy because every scaling up is based on your margin.
Correct.
If your margin goes up, your scaling up is easy. The third important thing in scaling up is involvement of money. Because right now, if you see, for scaling up, we require people. In our profit and loss account, salaries used to be the topmost. Below used to be rent. Below rent used to be staff welfare. Technology used to be number 15. Trust me, as then when it goes up, technology will become just below salary.
Correct.
So in case we can have technology, it will become the second largest asset. So in order to scale up, just these three things could be helping you scale up.
So technology is your best friend to help you speed up. Clients feel the need for speed, and your ability to deliver sooner than them or to exceed client expectations, technology is your best friend. Okay. Chetan, please tell us how you scaled up.
Yeah, so basically, given the nature of work that we do, there's a lot of process we manage. And today we're all very aware, in fact, that AI is disrupting a lot of process in terms of automating a process, right? So we have kind of looked at AI from three lenses. One is routine, regular work. We clearly believe that that needs to get automated, right?
Absolutely.
Next is risk. There are certain things which are risk-based. There we believe people are the best to manage that.
Correct.
And there is relationship. And again, people are best to manage that, right? So in terms of scale, what we have done is we have identified, for example, take the case of finance and accounting. It could be invoice processing, it could be reconciliation, it could be preparing reports. These are standardized stuff, data entry. We are moving all of this into automation, right? Once you move this into rule-based, routine can now get automated. We are moving that into that state. By doing that, you're freeing up a lot of people who are doing this kind of job. You move them next to the higher level jobs where they're actually interpreting the numbers and the data that comes out of it and giving a value to that. So today, the team that was used for processing is now moving up. Of course, you have to upskill them, train them, but they're going to add a higher value to the same set of work by giving a meaning to those numbers, by providing, better judgment on the numbers that comes out of it. So this is as far as, the use of thing is concerned. Again, whenever we are making an investment in AI, we have certain parameters on which we invest. We make sure that any investment that we do on AI should either increase the efficiency, reduce cost, or it should be able to improve your revenue, right? And also, it should be able to give you better insights. So by investing in, today, the best thing about AI is its ability to process huge amount of data. See, today we have been able to handle a lot of mid to large customers who are in hundreds and thousands of crores in top line, and we manage their entire finance function, which means we're handling huge amount of data. If I had to put people to do these things, it would be extremely difficult for me to give reports on time. AI is helping me to process this data much faster in much efficient manner, and speed and accuracy is far better, and able to give insights. Not only that, you can add, as you know, there are data models, you can build a lot of things, so you can add a lot of insights on the data that gets generated. Right? So any investment in AI calls for validating efficiency, validating increase in revenue, making sure you're able to give better insights to the thing. So this is how we...
Okay, actually the next question, you have answered most of it, but in your experience, when you're using AI for delivering scale, which area has been impacted the most? I'm just giving you in terms of order. Revenue, margins, quality of work, speed, or client experience. If you have these 5 features, which is the one that has been impacted the most?
As far as we are concerned, definitely efficiency.
Okay.
I mean, I can give an instance of use cases, but I don't know if you have the time, but definitely it has helped us to efficiency, consequently leading to a reduced in cost and consequently leading to increase in margin. And also customer experience. Because with the kind of data that you are able to provide the customer, that the insights that you are able to give in real time. See, typically you close books and it takes week, 10 days, but today we can give very key insights within the same day. By 12 midnight, we're able to publish very complex data, which is important for making decisions. So that's a huge transformation that we are seeing with AI.
Guru, what would your choices be in terms of order?
I don't think all the 4 would be my order.
Okay.
What AI has done is it has given the confidence.
Okay.
More than revenue going up, more than cost coming down, efficiency going up. If we accept a larger client earlier, we used to be worried. Is it possible for us to do it? For example, if you have a 25 hotels and they approach you for filing GST returns, we are very worried earlier, 25 hotels, is it possible only a very large company can do it? We can't do it. Now that confidence is there. Even if it is 500 units, we have the competency to do it.
Okay.
So that scale has impacted actually revenue, has reduced the cost, has increased the margin, has given client satisfaction because client is getting a solution.
Correct.
So before we used to do 20 audits, now I have confidence of doing 40 audits.
Okay.
So that has been the biggest drop.
The game changer.
Game changer.
Okay. And very quickly, is AI, if I have to choose only one of two, is it a growth accelerator or a cost efficiency tool?
I would go with growth accelerator.
I will go with safety. It is making me more safer.
Okay.
See, the fact that you are able to do more with the same, it enables you to go much faster.
Much faster. Okay. And obviously, as a collateral, the cost will come down.
Absolutely.
Don't have to,
Absolutely.
don't have to focus on
unit
cost.
economics works with that.
Correct. Basic economics works. Okay. I will go to the second chapter. Okay. The second section would be on scaling questions. Actually, this is meant more for you because you are in practice. Which part or which domain in your practice is amenable to AI and which is stubbornly not amenable to AI?
Sir, amenable to AI would be anything relating to accounting, preparing books of accounts. Accounts payable entry gets automated today. We don't need to do accounts payable entry. Accounts receivable entry is automated directly from your point of sales machine. It comes and sits down.
Correct.
So that has become very good. Anything relating to accounting has been very good. Second, filing your TDS returns and GST returns has been exceptional.
Correct.
There are some tools which does the 2A reconciliation almost on its own.
Correct.
We don't need to do 2A reconciliation anymore. In fact, filing GST return itself has become easy. When GST started a few years ago, it was a nightmare. Today it is so much more easier. The same team, we have a smaller team. Some of them are sitting here in the back row. They are all talking. They are not listening to me. I'll take care of them in tomorrow. So the same team, what is there sitting here now, have been able to do at least 4 times more.
Okay.
So GST and TDS. The third important thing is, especially context relating to your Schedule 3 balance sheet. I'll give you a simple example, sir. When you look at your 3CD, you have to prepare ESI, PF, TDS challans, date of due date, actual date of remittances, when is it remitted. To do that, we used to take 3 hours. Today, it is 1 minute.
Correct.
So that entire schedule becomes so fast. I just have to dump data in a tool, get the 4 challans, it goes to Zoho or Tally, picks up the date of accrual, picks up the due date, picks up the date of entry and prepares an Excel.
Correct.
My job is to ensure, see the Excel once, put it into file. So reporting Schedule 3 would be very good for us.
Okay, okay. Are there any areas that are not amenable to AI? Of course, the thinking part is never. The judgment part, the giving your opinions part. Are there any other such routine jobs that are stubbornly not amenable to AI?
We have been in practice. The type of questions we get in practice, sometimes AI cannot answer.
That's true.
We get such type of questions telling that, sir, I'm getting married, how much I should spend? What is it AI will do that? That could be one. In any case, any of you are doing arbitrations, most practicing professionals will be doing arbitration either formally or informally.
Informally.
Brothers are fighting, partners are fighting, directors are fighting. That is one area and that is the most profitable area.
Correct.
Third area, sir, any practice of NCLT, drafting alone AI can do. After that, AI is lost.
Lost. Correct.
NCLT, we have to go.
Correct.
And that patience, that game, and that is where the high-ticket items are there.
Correct.
Liquidations, IBC, voluntary liquidations. That is
and all other advisory matters of ODIs and everything else, FDI,
those
ODI.
things. Drafting, it helps.
Correct.
It can prepare a petition for extension of an AGM within 3 minutes or 5 minutes.
Correct. So
that and all is
basically the grunt work AI takes care of. The thinking work is what
we have to
continues to remain with us.
Yes.
Okay. Question is, when you are scaling up, how do you determine the balance between information technology and human resource? Question for you, if you're going from say 10 clients to 30 clients, there is a scale, there is a requirement of your resources that you need.
Resource allocation kind of.
Resource allocation. So IT or HR?
See, I'll tell you what, both are, as I told you, they don't compete with each other. There are, as I told you earlier, so basically there are a set of things that you can use technology. There are a set of things that you need people. As I told you, routine, transactional, you are definitely going to deploy technology because that's the only way you can scale. So you can create with the technology, you are able to create a playbook. For example, if I have to run a payables process for a large organization, once I'm able to understand the process and prepare, today agentic AIs are there, hyper automation is coming into place where you can actually entire end-to-end with a human in the loop. You just need people at various balances to check. So you can build an entire playbook when that's a place where you're using technology, right? But there are risks like compliances. Today, even compliances, you're using technology because with the amount, the ability to read data at large volumes with technology is not possible humanly. So you're able to get a real fix on whether you're complying or not on real-time basis, detecting frauds, all of that thing. But still managing risk, you go in with people and for maintaining customer relationships, engaging with the customers. Technology will not be.
The human touch is required.
Human touch is what is extremely important. So this is where, so you need people in certain areas of your work, you need technology in another area of work.
Okay. Guru, question for you. In your firm, you must be having some sort of ratio in your mind between partners, managers, staff. That was in the traditional area. Now with AI coming, being all pervasive, is that mix likely to change?
Sir, it has actually changed substantially already. Now, one example I could give is inventory counting. When we go for an audit, we count inventory.
Correct.
The second example I could give is vouching. Journal vouching or your purchase vouching we do. Now, AI can do that. I just have to access to have some AI tool. There are hundreds of tools. Upload the data within a closed circuit without enough of safety for cyber security and tell please do vouching. So those type of jobs which we used to depend on graduates or articles is diminishing dramatically. The easiest is, especially if you are doing audit, earlier we used to tell what is the sample, what is the procedure you have done. After that, what is your inference, who has signed it, who has not signed it. All this they used to write in a Word document. A manager will review. After that, he puts an initial. Today, he doesn't have to do anything. He has to just go and tell any of these tools, as per SA 230, please prepare working papers for me. Make it 3 pages, 6 pages, 9 pages. Correct. That job is done.
Correct.
So that lower level is concerning, especially hiring graduates for data entry, hiring articles for fixed asset verification, inventory verification, bank reconciliation statement. In fact, comparing with your AIS and your books of accounts, your books of accounts are there, you go to your income tax portal, download the AIS and compare. Most of it gets done.
Okay.
It's just started. In the next 2 years, impact would be very big for the junior level. So the ratio used to be one chartered accountant would have maybe 8-10 articles. Now he doesn't need to do that. He just needs 2.
So your structure will be in a sense lean and mean. You don't need to have a pyramid. It can be more of a tower.
Yes.
Tower type.
Earlier we used to tell, now we are 700 people, now we are 800 people. Now we don't need to tell that. Now we have 6 AI tools and 200 people.
200 people.
The same result.
Okay. Yes.
I just wanted to add, because technology and human resource, I just want to bring out this. Today, technology is helping us to hire the right person also in the organization.
Correct.
So you have today AI-enabled recruitment tools, which will help you to map between the requirements of the job and the person's thing. So there is a great deal of technology that is being used to hire people, and it's really helping us in our own organization, number one. Number two, it's also helping us to identify the training needs of that person. So that way, technology is helping HR in a significant way, and the organizations to optimize technology to ensure that you've got the best of the talent with you.
Okay. So they actually go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll go to the third one. Third is on adoption and execution. When implementing AI, what are the biggest mistakes that firms make? Is it just buying tools, just redesigning process, or changing the mindset? There are other mistakes, but these are the three largest reasons why mistakes are made in rolling out an AI solution.
See, I think there are multiple opportunities that you have to implement an AI, and you have certain amount of resources. I think identifying which is a high impact activity that AI will be most helpful. It's about making the decision on where you want to invest in AI. So that is the starting point. And then if you want to see, there are third-party tools that you can implement, or sometimes you are developing certain AI, because we have a technology team. So what we do is, data is extremely important. The quality of data that it's going to be used to build a model, and you have to make sure the data is clean, the data is curated, and make sure that the quality of data is good. Number two is, you should start small. You can't go do a big bang kind of a thing, because there is also a resistance from people. There is always an insecurity feeling. So you need to make sure that you're handling the change management very well. So you pick up activities which has high impact, but take a small item. For example, reconciliation, right? You can take a reconciliation, prepare the application for reconciliation, and put it onto one team to try it out. You have to give them like a co-pilot. It's not something that's going to take away their job. It's just going to assist them in terms of improving the speed and accuracy. That's how you bring in the solution to the team. And once you have built the confidence of that team that the solution that the company has provided them to solve a problem is helping them, it helps you to then scale that same application across the thing. So you have to start small, but then go and implement. So that, and managing the change is also very important in organization. That's where a lot of failure happens.
Okay. What do you think is the biggest reason for failure?
Sure, biggest vision, a little difference in perspective, because he handles clients who are doing a turnover of 500 crores.
Correct.
So the way they think is very different, a way a traditional practitioner thinks is very different. This takes me back to some 35 years when I was looking for a girl for getting married. So we go to one house, see the girl, let us try one more. It would be a better girl. I think she would be more educated. She'll be more good looking. Then I'll jump to the third girl. But finally you get the same wife.
Right.
In AI, that is what is happening. You're jumping between tools. For the practice we do as a traditional practitioner, unless you are going to do some big data analytic jobs, fix the tool. Pick up one tool. For example, you just take Excel. Excel itself can do a million things. Now you are jumping between perplexity. I'll go there, I'll remove this, I'll go and do one more tool. I'll catch that and I'll run to third tool. You get 1,000 tools. Every girl who walks in the park cannot be your wife.
Correct.
Pick up one tool, get married to it, use it properly, because implementation is more important than the quality of the tool in type of work what we do. For example, I get a GST return where accounts payable entries are not more than 200 entries. Another client is 400 entries. This guy gets a accounts payable of 50 lakh items. There's a whole lot of scale difference.
Correct.
So all tools are good as long as you use it properly. If you don't use it properly, a tool is a tool, we remain a fool.
Correct. Okay. AI brings up three issues. One is confidentiality, one is the regulatory expectations, and one is professional ethics. How do you manage AI when you are implementing these three issues that you'll always look at in the same spectacles?
See, you're talking about AI, ethics and security. So basically, that's the crux of customer when they come to us and they want to make sure that data is secured, right? So one of the things that we make sure is we use today, none of the data resides in our office. It's all on Azure cloud. So you are basically ensuring that in the best, what a global best practice, right? You're having the data secured. You're making sure that there is no unauthorized access to the data. So that's something that you will make sure. And also you'll have a routine audits and also the clients expect you to have some global certifications, like you should be a GDPR compliant, And today India has its own privacy law. So as long as the client is comfortable with the fact that the data which is there is having security and you've taken adequate steps and measures to maintain that and monitor the security, they're quite comfortable with that process. Yeah.
Okay. So, Guru, same question.
Same question.
Do you have a dedicated technology team that helps you to?
Initially, we didn't have. Now we are a little larger. We will be touching 800 people. We have a full-fledged technology team. Many times when my tech team doesn't understand, they go to his office and ask him. But having said that, some tips for all of us sitting here. Yeah, ethics are important. Your client confidentiality is important. Just do some 3-4 things. Step number 1, don't keep data as far as possible in a server. Put it in a cloud. It is much better to manage it. Have some control on data. Because if you are keeping it in your server, you have a directory structure. Client A, client B, client C, client D. In client A, year-wise, assessment year 23, 24, 24, 25. Anybody in the office can access it. Especially with the DPDP guidelines, it is very risky. So that is first step. Second step, please remove as far as possible your pen drives. Don't keep it in pen drives. It is a very easy thing to disable pen drives. It's only a small command.
Correct.
The third takeaway I would like to do is, Venkat sir can help circulating it to all the members here. The institute has got a portal, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, called DCMM, Digital Competency Maturity Model. It's a simple Excel spreadsheet. Download it and start ticking. Every month at least add one item of what is not there. There are around 80 items.
Correct.
At least over a period of 2 years, you are safe in all the 3 areas.
Correct.
So move from the server, block your USB port, download DCMM and start ticking
Start
it.
using that. Okay.
I agree with him. I mean, that's similarly what you do. Though the data is there, you'll also make sure that the laptops of the users are pretty secured.
Correct. Access to data should be purely on need-based basis
Need
and not
basis.
available to everybody.
Absolutely.
If you're working on client A and he's working on client B, you cannot see client B data.
Absolutely.
Client A.
So that's through passwords and other things you're going to make sure
Exactly. And forcing them to use passwords,
Absolutely.
change passwords all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And always password is 1, 2, 3, ABC. If he keeps password like this, we are in trouble.
Correct, exactly. Simple question, since both of you have technology teams within your own organizations, would you prefer to buy shrink-wrapped AI tools or would you develop them for your own use, tailor-made it for your own use?
See, our first choice is third-party tools because these are companies whose focus, their DNA is product development, tools development, right? So we will rather use the tools which are already in the market, but there are scenarios where it's best that you develop it. And also use, especially companies like us, where there's an opportunity that I can replicate that platform across other clients. So for example, it could be report generation, it could be reconciliations, where today you have a third-party applications as well, but when we see that there's an opportunity that I can build a platform for myself, use for client A, but once that is tested, I can use it for B, C, D, I develop it myself. But there are certain tools which might not necessarily be replicated in the organization, we prefer to go for third-party. But your mindset is always to go for a third-party tool first.
Because you're able to roll it out faster and
Much faster.
And it's a tested product also.
Tested product. It's a tested product. It's go-to-market strategy. Like you're going quick to actually implement it and get going with the product. Otherwise, it takes time. Though today, AI is helping development of product much faster. What used to take months to develop a tool or a product, today you can do it in weeks. That is there. But if there's already an available tool in the market and it can serve your purpose, you rather go for it than you develop yourself.
Guru, what would your plea be?
Sir, what I would think is subscribing to what Chetan tells, especially from chartered accountants, tax practitioners, lawyers' point of view, don't use public tools. Perplexity is free, ChatGPT is free. The moment you use it, and even people will tell you put off the training, it will not learn, you don't know anything. Because I'm not a technology guy, I'm a finance guy. So as far as possible, don't use any of those things. Do 3 steps. 1, block any websites on the office. You can use it through a 600 rupees virus sort of a protector like a Sequerate or something. Block all the external websites. Buy legal versions which are within your training system. For example, a ChatGPT could cost you 1,200 rupees a month.
Correct.
So buy a legal version, restrict the training facility, use only your data.
Correct.
Make it extremely safe. Initially, what we did is we were very scared. So we got 4 people in the office who are who are a little different. they can't hear, they can't speak, they're mute. So these 4 people, we gave 4 machines. We told anybody wants to use AI, you guys have to come to these guys. They will redact all the confidential information. They'll upload it, they'll give it back.
Okay.
That is how we started.
Okay.
So it is better to use something, it doesn't cost much.
1,200
It's
is
very,
affordable.
very less.
Very affordable. Very,
Very affordable.
And gives you additional layers of security and confidentiality.
One example, sir, if a person is there, for example, let us take our Dodbasappa. His office is called Bhattad and Company. He may be using ramesh@gmail.com. High risk. Instead, he can have his own domain, put it in Microsoft. It will cost 800,000 rupees per month. Bhattad@bhattadandcompany.com.
Correct.
Life is much more easier. And he can have a controlled SharePoint. All data is with him. He doesn't have to give it to anybody else.
Exactly. The next topic is talent, culture, and ethics questions. That's the 4th chapter. When you are maturing your organization into completely AI-centric practice, what should the partners and the leaders of the firm, what should they imbibe?
See, today, understanding technology is very important. So upskilling your team for the do's and don'ts using AI is also very important, right? So your digital literacy is what you kind of first start with your team. And then in terms of the other aspects that you would talk about is the culture itself, the agility that you want to bring in terms of how you want to make sure that the companies are working. So these are some of the things that you look at. Yeah.
Okay. Guru.
Sir, my gut feel is, as a accounting fraternity, hire somebody. Today you are getting engineers who know AI at 30,000 rupees to 40,000 rupees a month.
Correct.
They can save at least 2 lakh rupees for you. Because we don't know. Better to hire a technology guy who sits in your office and they are available dime a dozen. Because engineers are not getting jobs. And what they can do, we cannot do. Let a professional do it for you, even as a partner of the organization. I may not understand it. So we got somebody who was teaching in the CA faculty. He is building all the AI tools for us.
Okay.
And it is affordable. It is not expensive, a good quality. I mean, it's not a global sort of a engineer. At least for a practice who is having 20 people, 40 people, 200 people, 500 people, 2-3 engineers are good enough. Okay. If you are 25, 30 people, if you can employ somebody who is just by paying him 30, 40,000 rupees, he'll save you tons of money, tons of safety.
Okay. All of us come from, in terms of this profession, from a rather prehistoric age when everything was being done manually. But today, everything is being done by AI. How did you change your mindset and recalibrate it to adopt AI in a very friendly manner?
I don't know, sir. It just came.
Just came.
I never
naturally.
did anything. It just came.
Today it's a necessity. See, today you have, as an organization, you have no choice, right?
Correct.
You have to adopt. There is no other thing. So that's driving a lot of understanding within the organization. Either do it or you'll be shipped out, right?
Correct.
So it's a question of survival. If you do not have the ability to adopt an AI in your organization, you are definitely going to lose to a competitor or somebody else is going to take that.
So you adopt and adapt.
Adapt
And adapt. Okay. Right. Okay. When you're using AI for services that you're delivering to your clients, how do you ensure that AI doesn't take over your judgment? That your judgment is something that is without parallel. AI can never replace that. How do you ensure that your judgment is visible in that AI-driven piece of service that you give to your client?
So I think I would like to look at it like this, right?
Okay.
So if there's a model that is generating this outcome, I think that's one of the ethical questions that is being asked today, right? How do you make sure that the output that an AI model is giving you is really correct?
Correct.
And we have seen many instances where wrong outputs have come in and that has caused a lot of issues. So I think that is what we call explainability. Now, so it's important on the people who are developing these models to make sure that you're putting enough audit, you're building enough transparency to that model that people are able to audit the outcomes.
Okay.
So the algorithms that are used should be able to help you to make sure that the outcome that's come out of the model is traceable. So that way,
and credible also.
Yeah. So that way you're able to, so your judgment and that, then it's easy to look at.
Guru, what would you do?
Sir, I'll do one method. Generally, Chetan will tell all this will not work, but I'll try my luck here. whatever output one tool gives, I put it in 4 tools. I'll put it in ChatGPT, I'll put it in Claude AI, then I'll go and put it in Perplexity, which are all licensed versions, and I'll compare it. Then I'll take it, and first and foremost thing, you'll have to ensure there is an automation of reading.
Of?
Reading.
Okay.
Because all of us are thinking AI is doing, we are not reading anything. Sometimes it is throwing all sorts of hallucinations, it is showing all sorts of cases which happened in Deloitte in Australia.
Also Bangalore IT.
Bangalore, all sorts of things are happening. So, and we think we know everything. I'm an experienced chartered accountant. In 30 seconds, I can reach the page. That won't work. We have to employ reading agents where it will read word by word and it will not allow me to jump.
Correct.
That discipline we'll have to bring with AI. It's a 8-page appeal report. If I take it to Venkat, he'll throw it out in 2 days because it's done by AI. He knows it is wrong.
Yeah.
And I took it to him by not reading it. And reading fast won't help because data is accumulated like thousands of pages today. Reading helps. So if you can take an auto reader, in case you are using Apple, it will give an auto reader. Sit and listen, word by word.
Okay. So for you, judgment will always sit on top of whatever AI generates. You will apply your judgment on the findings, and you will not be reckless. Okay.
I think that is going to play a role for all times to come, because human in the loop, that ability of a human being to detect anything will always
that will be irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. Yes, absolutely.
How do you control practice? How do you control fee?
Control?
Fees.
Okay.
Professional fees. There is a threat by virtue of AI that larger firms like these.
Look at the first question. Look at the first question. That answers it. That's the question. So the question. So sorry to preempt you, Venkat. Sorry. Okay. So now clients are a little more aware that as professionals we are using AI. They're not overawed. They even actually expect you to do it. They also realize that you are able to deliver their services faster. What would take you 2 days, you can do it in half a day. So when you are pricing the value of your services, are they expecting you to downsize your fees because you've spent lesser time, even though the quality of your work may be exactly the same? But are they sort of pricing it on the time spent and discounting the quality of the work that you're doing?
Okay, I'll give it from my perspective. I'll give you a use case. So we have been processing the payables for India's largest e-commerce food aggregator, right? We started this manually 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Everything was people-driven. They didn't have workflows. So the last 3 to 4 years, we have transformed that to an AI-enabled P2P process, right? So we had X amount of fee that we were charging. Because we were able to bring in all of that, the cost per transaction has come down.
Correct.
Now, I'm not able to hold my price at the price at which I started. My client has beaten me by almost what the fees are. It has almost come to 30-35% of my fees.
Correct.
So this is a challenge that we see, right? The client is very smart to know that the cost of service is going to come down, and how is he going to get benefit out of the reduction? So that is a challenge that we will all continue to face, and we still have to identify, because there are 2 ways we are also looking at. One is value-based pricing. That will anyway come in.
Correct.
So sometimes on a transaction basis, you are going to lose out certain things. There will be certain other things where you can always go with a value base.
Correct.
So we have to do a balancing act in terms of how you can actually maximize your revenue.
So clients are now becoming a little smarter.
Absolutely.
Correctly.
Absolutely.
And therefore expecting some sort of reduction in what you're charging them.
They definitely expect it, because when
Guru,
you
your
actually,
go.
just see, also they expect you to do that. When you take up, for example, there is a 50 people outsourcing opportunity you have taken. You have to give them a commitment in the next 3 to 5 years, assuming the business is going to be same.
Correct.
50 you're going to bring into 30. So he's not going to pay you fees from 60, 60, 70. So your fees actually comes down. So that's the commitment that you're going to give it to him when you're signing the contract.
Cost reduction is everybody's overarching objective.
Because one of his expectation is implementation of technology.
Correct.
And they expect that to improve his performance, productivity, and cost for a period of time. And you have to pass it on to him.
Correct. Yes, Guru.
So it is happening quite often in AI. Recently, my father was unwell. So I went to the doctor, he was examining everything, and I was trying to become a doctor because I've seen what all he has written in ChatGPT. So the doctor told, shut up, you just listen to me. So in case I give an appeal paper, that guy is going and putting my paper in AI and giving it back to me. From pricing models, it has changed dramatically. One example I can tell you is we give a quote to a person, I'll do your accounts. It is 50,000 rupees if you do Zoho. It is 75,000 rupees if I have to do in Tally. If you do a tool called MISA or some tool which is capturing the data on its own, you will pay 1,200 rupees for the tool. My fees will come down by 30%. So we have been pricing the models based on what tools the client is taking. There is no other alternative today. Some of them we have told, why don't you use a tool which is with the Slack. You use Slack, put your approval systems in Slack so that I don't have to come under IFC processes.
Correct.
After that, accounts payable entry is happening directly. The GST entry is happening directly because the invoice is directly coming into accounts. I'll give you these 3 tools. If you use these 3 tools, I'll charge you for implementation of the tool and training. After that, I'll charge you 40% less.
Correct.
Pricing has changed dramatically today.
So clients are getting very aggressive about what your fees that
In
you
fact,
charge.
I'll tell you one tool. So there is one tool called, there are thousands of tools, but there is a tool called M-Profit.
Correct.
There is a tool called Funds of India. Funds of India is a free tool. It is not a paid tool, it's a free tool. If the client tells, I'll register in Funds of India and I'll give you the login view password, my fees comes down by 25%.
Correct.
Easy. So pricing is undergoing a very dramatic change
Dramatic
today.
change. Yes, Venkat. Tell me.
Answer that. That's what these people want.
Sir, I'll exactly come to that point. In case you are filing a GST return for 5,000 rupees without AI, with AI you can file it for 2,500 rupees. The fact remains that.
So, Venkat, that I don't think there's an escape from what is the reality. Right?
Correct.
That is what is happening. Today, because of technology, the cost of service is going to come down. So you have to find new ways of generating revenue.
No, you don't need scale to implement AI. It just makes your life simpler, easier, better, more efficient and faster. So maybe you will not be able to charge 5,000, but what you would do, take for 3 hours to do it, you will do it in maybe half an hour. It gives you more time to take on clients. I'm not saying clients are the low-hanging fruit, but it gives you more time to take on more work. And therefore, your 5,000, which becomes, say, 1,500, you can do 6
the
times
value
more.
additions can come in terms of giving them better insights or planning and customized solutions to the customer.
Correct.
That's where we can, charge your fees on top of the
Please go.
regular filing.
Sir, one example I can give you for Venkat's question is, for one client you are filing books of accounts, you are filing GST returns 3 and 3, you are filing PF, you are filing ESI, and you are filing profession tax. You are charging 10,000 rupees. Now, he is calling you once in a while and telling last month chalan kodi, 3 days ka chalan de do mujhe. That is taking a lot of your time.
Correct.
The simplest solution is if you are having 300 clients of this nature, to reduce your cost and also reduce your fees, all of you have Microsoft Excel. That means you are paying for the Microsoft license. You will have something called Microsoft OneNote. OneNote is a simple table where you are going to keep all your GST return April, May, June, July to March. All your TDS return section wise. The moment you are doing this, it is free of cost. You don't have to pay 1 rupee. Give the link to the client. He can download whenever you want. You don't have to verify anything. Your assistant is filing everything, and if you are filing 300 returns in 1 hour, you can check all the 300 dashboards and tell whether GST is filed or no. That is the way we have to use it, and it's free of cost. So instead of charging 5,000 or 750 or 500 rupees, you can easily charge 400 also and accept 4 more clients. And having said that, even your individual tax practice, an individual tax return is now getting done free of cost almost. Taxman has got so many tools. They don't even need us. So it is important for us to understand that I don't want to do certain areas of practice. It is very important to come out of that. Individual practice, 44 AD cases, it will not fetch us any money. 44 AD, AI is doing it within 1 minute. We don't have to do 44 AD. You just have to put 44 AD. For example, let us look at board minutes, sir. You take board minute quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 AGM returns. You just have to tell the AI, you go to the ROC website, get the director's details, get the DIN number, prepare all the 4 minutes and prepare the annual return, annual AGM minutes. It will prepare and give it to you. No, we can't be charging fees for that. It will almost be free service. You have to climb up the ladder of service.
And that is actually my next question. You are, in that case, exactly what you said, Guru, you are commoditizing your service.
Yeah, that's.
And when you commoditize service, you move up the value chain and start doing advisory services and charge a higher fee for that. And for this, you just keep it for your fixed expenses, your fixed costs. So AI will help you to commoditize services, provide it like almost free of cost, and you move up the value chain and start doing advisory work. Yes, yes, exactly.
There is a need for upskilling, sir.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about that part.
Yes. You can please. Okay, this is possibly the last couple of ones. Okay.
So by what Guru said, it's also enhancing the customer experience. He doesn't have to call you. He just logs in and looks at his data and the matter done.
I fully agree with him. These distractions actually are very irritating. You're in the middle of something and your best friend says, I've got to apply for a visa, please give me last 3 years returns. And fact of the matter is, I would have given it to him in 2025, 2024, 2023 as 3 separate emails. He wants you to do it and put everything in a single email and send it.
Correct.
So as he says, you put it in a Google Drive folder or you put it on Microsoft Word, just send him the link. He can do it from wherever in the world he wants, he can take it. Help him or help yourself to help him. It's pretty much the same. Okay, the penultimate section is, yeah, correct.
Still best people, sir. I'll still go with best people. AI will die one day.
Okay, fair enough. Choices, I mean, I respect yours, but you're saying best people. Considering the space in which you work, AI will be your best friend.
Absolutely.
And larger firms, or will it democratize them?
It is going to democratize it. Because even smaller companies will have an opportunity to lean on to AI. So that's going to actually close the gap.
Okay.
It's only the scale in which you can do, and how smaller firms are able to scale up is another matter altogether.
Okay.
But it gives them an equal opportunity because the tools are common.
So they can be as good as big firms. As good as big firms.
Sir, one example I could give you is, earlier we used to tell our presentation is bad. We don't know how to present ourselves. Today when you put that chart, Canva is there, it is a free tool. Gemini is there, you can use it free. Your PPT can be as good as a global PPT today.
Correct.
Your transfer pricing study can be as good as any other transfer pricing study today. So it has become what a big four could do, even I could do, you could do today. It's become much more easier.
Correct. So, I mean, smaller firms are actually now becoming powerhouses, but on a smaller scale.
Smaller scale. Correct. And it depends on them whether they want to scale or they want to...
Correct. That's a personal choice.
Different.
Okay. And and I think we already know the answer, will AI dilute professional judgment and accountabilities as they become bigger and bigger?
Sorry?
Will AI dilute professional judgment, and as firms become bigger and bigger, will you start to depend more on AI? And I think he said he won't, because he will go through every single word. So I think the answer is that it would be reckless to just absorb, to take
Absolutely.
whatever
So,
AI
see,
says.
as we go ahead, the AI models becomes more and more mature. As the data starts, there is definitely, you get better and better in terms of AI, but people, you cannot lose the importance of people for the final validations.
Correct. Okay. That's the last one, Venkat. Very, very last one. Sorry to extend the time. Okay. And finally. Okay, question is, if you were going to advise a firm that is just starting up now, what is the approach they should have to AI? The one AI decision that they should take?
So the first decision I'll tell you is get a SOC 2.
Get
a SOC 2 certificate.
Okay.
It will cost you, yes, a lakh of rupees, but please get a SOC 2, then only start something. Your data is secure, your credibility is secure first.
Okay.
Safeguard your reputation, then do anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, as I said earlier, make sure that your processes are in place. SOC is basically validating your processes, your controls. Okay. That's okay. But then AI depends on what you're doing. It's very customized and specific what you need. Yeah.
And pretty much the last question, I will skip the penultimate one. In 3 to 5 years' time, how will an AI mature profession look like? What do you expect it to be? What would you expect an AI mature professional to provide you?
The same number of people, your turnover could become 3 times. That could be maturity for me, sir.
So even that's our vision. So
Correct.
today we have X number of people. Can we double our revenue with maybe 20% increase in the whether we can increase our top line by twice by increasing like 20% of your team. You know, so that's
So with an intelligent mix of HR and IT,
yeah.
you increase your revenue, but keep your costs under control.
Absolutely.
And turn out better and faster work for the clients.
Because the technology is making that, is enabling that particular direction.
Okay. I pretty much finished all my questions. If anybody has anything for the panelists, I think they'll be happy to answer. Please go ahead. Yeah, one second, please. The chairperson would like to have some answers to her questions.
Sir, I have
Good evening,
three
sir.
questions in my mind because you have explained AI for the purposes of auditing and accounting for auditing firms, sir. I am in litigation, and for litigation purposes, I have three questions in my mind. The first of the question is that because in auditing and accounting, we are feeding the data, and therefore the reports which are coming, those are much reliable and much authentic because we are feeding the data. But in litigation, we only feed the proposition or the issue, and the decision is coming out. Many a times, AI gives the wrong case law in which the issue is not discussed at all. So where the error lies, that I want to ask, that where the error lies, whether in AI, or making the or in asking the question from our side.
Madam, Chetan only will have to answer it because I have never done litigation before.
Not litigation, it's about data accuracy.
Data accuracy, okay.
Okay, so
that is the
same thing, whether litigation
error in asking the question or where the error lies?
No, the error lies in the fact that you're asking a question to an LLM that is not yet mature.
Matured.
It may contain trillions of data points, but you need maybe a quadrillion data points. The data that is available on your LLM is not sufficient to give you a correct answer. It will happen in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but it's not yet ready. Having said that, and I was just talking to Padam, PwC and Deloitte have developed tax-specific AI. You ask a tax question, it will give you a rather accurate answer, not 100%, but a rather accurate answer. So asking a tax question to a generic AI would be a little, you can't expect too much of it.
What happens many a time that young advocates drafts the petition and all that, and they are mentioning the case law in which that issue is not discussed.
Exactly. So they're accessing.
So nobody is.
They're accessing AI tools that are not capable of handling this. They're still very immature.
Second
Chetan
question.
wanted to answer. Chetan, you wanted to answer that, please. The first question itself
The
about
first
tax
question.
litigation.
That where the error lies. Error is in making. Yes, Mr.
As
Rajendra.
sir said, it's about the maturity of the model. See, they have not been fed with enough data to be able to give you the required. It's not that there's anything wrong with the model. It's just that it has not been fed with the required data to be able to give you that particular
So it
thing.
will take time, I
It will
think.
take time. As and when more data comes in, you'll be able to do. That's why we are saying that human in the loop. So a person has to verify the output that comes from these models to make sure that what it is giving you is really true or it's just a illusionary kind of a situation.
The simple example is like asking a 4-year-old child the laws of gravity. He still hasn't learned it. But when he's 12 years old, if you ask him, he'll give it to you. So that maturity has to come.
Sir, second question, very small question. That when we are feeding the question and AI gives the result and my thought process is different, my decision, my analysis is different from AI. So on whom we have to rely? On AI or on my thought process?
Nobody can surpass human intellect and human cognition at all. It can only help you, but it cannot replace you.
Replace.
Absolutely.
And the third small question,
I'm sorry.
sir, whether AI is a threat to human power. That's the common question.
Sir, good evening, Subramaniam. AI is the drafting part I'm talking about, not the other tools. Drafting part is more of a biased one, basically. If I ask a simple chat GPT, how am I? It will say awesome. It will never say you are bad or something. It is more of bias towards you, basically, whoever is asking. So, number one, how do we give a prompt? Basically, all answers are based on the prompt or the questions we shoot on the AI. So how do we control that? Whether I am asking a question.
Understood the question, sir. Sir, especially if you are in litigation and if you are drafting an appeal, my sincere advice is don't use general chats, because there is ITR also there, CTR also there, and examination question paper also will get attached to that. CV Raman also will get attached. Only go to paid subscriptions like Juris or Vakil Search or PwC, only use those type of things.
Sir, when it comes to the paid one, you said we have to go for a license costing about 1 lakh or something. Now, when the DPDP Act is in force today, data protection and this thing, are these AIs responsible for whatever, data protection or data leakage happening through us, in fact, through AI by us?
Sir, if
they are also accountable. Now, why should I go for it's a paid one only. I'm taking a paid one. ChatGPT will not give me the legal drafting or something. But if I'm taking a legal one, legal enabled AI.
It's a DPDP Act only controls you. What your tool does is not our headache. We have taken an agreement with the tool, we have signed an NDA, job done.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Last.
Sir, yeah, one last question. Basically, I had doubt regarding two of the things. One is accuracy and one is confidentiality. Confidentiality, as well said, that we can take up the paid versions and get it solved. But recently, couple of days back, I was doing an assignment of UK and India DTAA. When I'm using the paid version of AI, I'm giving a prompt asking under which article can I get the benefit of FTC for India UK DTAA. He suggested me to go via Article 23. Well, when I go and read that, that is not the right clause. The right clause is Article 24.
Got your question,
sir said that depends on LLM model, which is keep on upgrading.
So there are two things, sir. I think there is one confusion. What I told 1,200 rupees is only a license. But in case you have a legal tool, you have to subscribe for a legal LMS. Legal LMS has sanitized data. You can't just go to ChatGPT and tell him, give me a difference between Article 24 and 23. It will pick up from BS Raman and also give you. If you go to your legal like Nexus Juris, that is a tool you should buy.
A huge round of applause for all the dignitaries on the stage. I invite the chairperson to please give her closing remarks.
Sir, we have heard on AI, and a big question in my mind, maybe in your mind as well, that whether AI is a threat to the human practice. In time to come, maybe in 8-10 years, what will be the scenario of the legal practice? As our worthy speaker said, then in accounting and auditing, these reports and everything are most reliable and authentic. Then that will replace, I think, that is my opinion, sir, that even human may make the errors, but the machine will not do. So whether machine will replace the man in the legal practice, that is the big question in my mind. And with these closing remarks, I thank you all for listening us so patiently. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, speakers CA Guruprasad Makam and CA Chetan Venugopal, for your informative contributions. A big thanks to CA Rajendra Rao for moderating this session so seamlessly, and our chairperson, Senior Advocate Premlata Bansal, for her valuable insights. Audience, a gentle reminder about the book publications that were made earlier today morning. This is your last chance to grab them at an almost 30% discount. Book 1, GST Case Law, Essential for Tax Professionals. Book 2, Practical Guide to Emerging Areas in GST. And Book 3, Cyber Crimes and Financial Offences. They all are set in display right outside this hall. Please surely go and have a look. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to switch off the serious mode and switch on the celebration mode. It is time for the much awaited cultural extravaganza.
As we enjoy this cultural event, we also invite you to indulge in the gala dinner arranged for all of our esteemed delegates.
The flavors are ready, the tables are set, and the ambience awaits you. Sit back, relax, celebrate, and enjoy your night. It was an honor hosting today's event. Signing off as your MCs, CA Shivangi Bhatt,
Brinda R.
Thank you.